Ah, the duality of man. A discussion that has troubled philosophers for time immemorial. The Gemini, their doppelganger. But what lies at the heart of this discussion? Well, Wikipedia describes the duality of man as an album by the Greek metal thrash band Memorain. Indeed, the double kick pedal employed by drummer Seven Barsom is indicative of the constant switching one makes to adjust personality to setting. The lyrics, "Watching you die makes me thrilled," from the opening track blends seamlessly into the second song's chorus of, "No matter, I will always sing for justice. Not a man, I am a knight. I am a guardian knight." Suggesting, of course, our potential to shift between the id and superego within a brief period of time. And that is the only thing the internet says about it. Apologies to our listeners. With face blindness, we watched The Face of Another and Face Off.
Did you say face blindness?
Face blindness. Yeah, he did.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
When you did your I was so sure you're gonna start doing the wasted Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Champagne. The duality of man.
Thank you, Sean. I can't make this clear enough. I really can't imagine a more fitting intro for this week's movies.
Yeah.
Because I have next to no idea what was going on. And
this was like 5 straight hours of like confusing nonsense. So I'm
thank you. Once again, these anyway, so the movies this week are The Face of Another versus Face Off. And so again, also, I guess in the first place, welcome to Citizen Kane versus, I should say welcome, and what this podcast is. My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my friends,
Sean Jacklin.
And
Daniel Benoit.
And this week we have another guest, which we're so excited to have. It's our friend Andrew Cameron. Say hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Nailed it for the listeners.
I'll sign off. It's all good.
And Andrew recommended these movies last week for us, and yeah, what a curveball! What a
I mean, totally appropriate pairing.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I was actually really proud of this pairing as like, what I think is what your podcast is, which is the classic respected film compared to like a sort of, to use Jack's word, schlocky, sort of more modern film that has like similar themes.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly
I was actually when I came up with this pairing, I was pretty excited about. My other idea, which maybe I'll pitch to you guys for a later episode, was Alien versus Predator and Frost Nixon. That was my backup plan. You guys can use that if you want.
Which one is Frost Nixon?
That's the one where it's like that reporter was like interviewing Richard Nixon and trying to like get the truth out of him. I never actually saw it, but it's just like another sort of versus the other one. You do that, or Freddy versus Jason with Frost Nixon.
Yeah,
right.
we have a couple versus ideas that we'll see
versus.
Yeah, if they ever come up. But yeah, that is very close. I think it is definitely in the ballpark of this podcast, where, again, I don't even know if I said it this week. That's just what it's going to be this week, apparently. That's what we do. We take a widely considered, it's kind of great is the whatever that means.
Classic.
Right? Like a classic, a great movie. It's not super, like, we're not really intense about it. We're not film, like...
We were this week.
Yeah, this week. And then versus something exactly that's more like schlocky. And what would you say the thematic link was? Because you could say it's the word face. You could say, what would you say it is?
The thematic link?
Of these movies.
Well, they're about faces.
Right.
And people getting new faces.
Oh.
I think, I mean, if to get philosophical about it.
To become another. Yeah, it's definitely like these movies both have pretty intricately done face like transfer slash
Yeah. A lot of
getting a
close-ups
new
of
face
flesh.
surgeries
Yeah.
that do seem
yeah.
inspired by the other. Like the sequence in Face Off looks heavily influenced by like some of the shots in The Face of Another.
Well, and I was gonna say somehow the way they go about it in The Face of Another seems more believable and like medically sound, even though
sure.
it was
It's
like 70 years prior.
I thought the director, it was one of those old movies that you watch that he's like, the technology to make this look believable isn't here yet, so we just won't really show it, and that'll be the convincing special effects.
Well, do you want to
Yeah.
give Andrew, while you're on it, do you want to give a little synopsis of The
Are
Face
we-
of Another?
So how do you guys do this? Do you start with one and then do another? Like, are we starting with Face of Another and then...
We're gonna give some synopses,
Okay.
and then we're just kind of sometimes
gonna
we go back
talk.
and forth between the movies, but we're not too picky about it. But
Yeah.
if you could just give us a synopsis as best you can
For sure,
of
for
The
sure.
Face of Another, because people at home may have not have seen this movie, and they might need a bit of help, even if they have seen it.
A bit of... Yeah, that's okay. So Face of Another... By the way, I woke up kind of late this morning, kind of hungover. My Wi-Fi had been out for the last couple days, so I wasn't able to actually watch the movies like within a reasonable amount of time from when we were recording this podcast. So basically today, down to the wire, I woke up, the Rogers repairman showed up, he fixed our internet, he left, I turned on Face Off, and basically watched Face Off, Face of Another, just like straight through
Oh,
without
no.
without breaking at all.
How aren't you a broken shell of a man right now?
And now
How desperately do you want a facelift right now? That's my question.
yeah, my face I'm feeling it in my face, put it that way. But I watched Face of Another second, which I don't know if I would have done it that way, but if I was going to do that again, I probably would have ended with Face Off. But so Face of Another is about, it's the 1966 Japanese black and white movie, which is about a guy who's had his face badly burned and disfigured in some sort of... Is it clear what his job is? He's like some sort of... works for some sort of manufacturing chemical company.
Yeah.
And there was some sort of
Yeah.
accident that he describes. It's like really cool opening shot when it's just like his x-ray.
Yeah.
And he's talking and,
Yeah.
and giving the sort of the recounting what happened. Anyway, his face is disfigured. He's covered in bandages, and it's kind of made him... He's really bummed out about that, and it seems to have caused a bit of a rift in his marriage, and he's being a bit of an Eeyore about it.
If
And
Eeyore
he
were a
meets-
psycho.
Yeah, he's kind of, and he starts sort of philosophy, and he meets this doctor who has a really cool office that was seems to exist in like a black hole.
Yeah, in the void.
in like
Yeah.
the place in like the place that is no place.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple of cute nurses that help him out. But he remarkably similar to Colm Fiore's character in Face Off, but we'll get to that. But so he basically tells him that he has a way that he's going to sort of use him as a guinea pig for this surgery he's been trying out, where he was going to replace, basically take a mold of someone else's face and sort of use this technique to basically create a new face for this guy that can cover up his severely bandaged face. But the weird thing is that he says that he's not actually a doctor, he's a psychiatrist, and he kind of wants to do it not so much as a treatment to cover his burns, but he wants to see how putting a new face on someone else's will affect their behavior. And he has this theory that it's gonna make him into a new person or kind of like do away with his identity altogether. And so he makes this deal with him where he's going to replace his face as long as he like reports back to him and like tells his behavior and like all this stuff. Anyway, they go through with the thing, and he gets a new face. They find like a guy in a fucking mall. They're like, that guy.
And like a cafeteria.
His face is like kind of normal looking. He says he's easy to persuade. He looks like we could talk him into this. And they offer him 10,000 yen to basically get his face. a mold of his face, and then I love how we just never hear from that guy again. He kind of
Yeah.
just like disappears off, and there's no scene where like they see each other and they look the same or something like that. He's just out of the picture. They offer him 10,000 yen, which I don't know how much would be in like modern Canadian dollars, but they gives him like 2 bills. So
Yeah, I mean,
He goes and buys lunch.
is it like a couple of $100 or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tricky because 100 yen now is around $1. So a yen is roughly a cent. So 10,000 yen is like maybe
Like
that's
$100,
like
$1,000.
it's like $100. Like it's not that much, but I don't know
Yeah.
how that accounts for inflation. But then there's a scene later where he's like buying stuff, and there's like shots of like things like a teacup is like 1,500 yen, which would be like $15, which is like what I
My
think a lot of
Zoom
teacups
has-
would cost.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Would
My
cost,
Zoom
like-
froze up for a second there. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
All good. But like that's what I think it would cost now. So I have no idea how Japanese inflation has worked out over the last 70, 80 years. So I'm confused by it too, but I imagine it's still just like a few $100.
Daniel, can
Yeah,
you give
the-
us your expertise on Japanese inflation?
I think it's inflated by about 26% quarterly, which would mean that 10,000 yen today is worth about $14 million. In the 60s, that means that it would have been worth roughly $26. But I mean, it's like roughly, like give or take
Right.
a few
I would
hundred
have also
bucks.
accepted inflation makes it goes up. I would have also accepted.
More.
Yeah. So
More.
so
More.
more. Yeah. So they pay this
So
guy.
they pay this guy to get
use
his face.
mold.
Yeah. He seems
Sort
to be
of.
a little reluctant at first, and then he's like, I'm hungry, and he takes the money.
Oh no.
Sorry, we're losing you for a second there, Andrew.
That internet guy did not do his job today.
Call Rogers again. Well, yeah, they I'll just kind of continue this a little bit until we get him back. He's smiling on the frozen thing though, which is nice. Yeah, they get his face and then
We lost you for a lot.
Okay.
Is it back now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. You just came back with
It's
I'm
going
hungry.
well for a while there.
Yeah. So we were just saying, so they get the face of this stranger, and then essentially that's like halfway. It's like a 2-hour movie, and that's the halfway point. And
Now,
then
there's also
second
another
half of it is him sort of exploring what this face is in like some of the more basic ways that I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he's doing it. He's not like going to a theme park and being like, I'm a new man. He's just like going
He like
for
rents
a
an
beer.
apartment and has a cigarette and has sex with his wife.
Yeah.
No, this is gonna be a dodgy. Oh, bye, Andrew.
There he goes.
Should we take a hard pause here in the recording? Or
It all stays, Sean.
okay.
I can just picture now how much editing I'm gonna have to do because in the Zoom recording we're gonna have no audio from Andrew, but in his recording there's just gonna be him talking at length about the synopsis of this movie.
Right.
So, is he back?
How's that?
Ooh, and a new backdrop somehow.
A new location.
I moved my computer closer to the Wi-Fi, so maybe that's
Oh, smart.
better now. Hopefully this works.
This is the age that we live in. Blame the Rona, y'all.
Yeah.
Fucking Rona.
We were just saying that the second half of the movie, he's gotten this face, and then it's just him kind of playing with it, but not to any like great experimental way. He's just kind of walking around, and he gets 2 apartments in the same building, right? He gets 2 apartments,
Yeah.
so that he can
Yeah.
go as bandage man to one, and then sneak over and become other guy with a face in the other one. And the
All the while he's told his wife he's like on a business trip or something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't even catch why that.
Yeah.
I just assumed that it was the same
There-
as in
there-
Japan,
now,
and
there's
people just do
also-
whatever he wanted and not tell his wife. If I'm being honest.
There's also
I
the
didn't even
B
catch the
plot.
script.
Of,
No, he said he was going
oh,
to Kansai for a week or something.
Oh, okay.
Is Andrew frozen again?
Well, it culminates in him exploring the different ways that one can explore identity, and then he murders the doctor that gave it to him.
For
It's also-
reasons I don't understand.
Yeah, I wasn't clear on that. I think it's also important to note the crucial B plot in this movie,
I was gonna say also
Yeah,
the B plot.
which was the woman with 3/4 of a face who kind of just walks around being pretty and ugly at the same time for 2 hours, and then sleeps with her brother,
Yeah.
and then
And then drowns
She
herself.
kills
was
herself.
she was scarred in the nuclear explosion at Nagasaki.
Is that inferred, or did they explain that?
Yeah, she says like remember how bright it was at that morning in Nagasaki, brother, and he doesn't he refuses to acknowledge that's the conversation.
I did not catch
I missed that
Yeah.
entirely.
Also, when she, this is jumping ahead, but when she kills herself at the end, there's like that sort of mirroring of like the big
Yeah, the light.
blast, and then it cuts to the sun or whatever, and I think it's supposed to be like,
Oh.
Nuclear
And then her
explosion.
brother becomes meat in the window.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, is that a goat carcass?
I don't know.
Are
Kinda
dead
meat, yeah.
goats symbol in
It's-
Japanese culture?
Not that I know of.
I planned to come to this podcast, Jack, and just heavily rely on your knowledge of Japanese culture to get me through
Oh,
this
we're screwed.
this film.
Oh, I don't know what made you think that I have a knowledge of Japanese culture. I
Oh, you know
don't.
Chinese culture.
And no would be a very strong
Yeah.
word even there.
What? Oh, why did I
true.
think that you? Why did I
Daniel.
think that you had this like vast knowledge of Asian cultures? All right,
Probably
well,
the same
fuck-
reason that you
fuck me.
confuse Chinese and Japanese cultures. I have no idea. Probably.
Oh, don't make it about me, Jack.
Oh. Well, why don't we deflect to your synopsis of Face Off, Daniel?
Oh yeah, sure. Face Off, in not so stark a contrast to The Face of Another, is a late '90s film directed by John Woo and starring
Pronounced John Woo.
John Woo, starring a very crazy Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. So,
A very crazy John Travolta.
Yeah, having to play
very
as
crazy John
as
Travolta.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But so the movie opens on John Travolta playing Detective Sean Archer, riding a merry-go-round with his son in slow motion, as a very mustached Nicolas Cage, playing Castor Troy, waits in a nearby bush to try and snipe Archer down.
Yeah.
And he takes his shot, and the bullet blows through Travolta or Archer's shoulder and into his son, and kills his son, thus starting a 6-year rivalry of sorts between Sean
Sworn
Archer and
enemies.
Castor. Yeah, sworn enemies ship between Sean Archer and Castor Troy. So we jump 6 years into the future, and Castor Troy has planted a bomb in a mall. Is it a mall?
In a convention center.
In
In a convention center that he is set to explode in like 2 months or something. Like the
on
Convenient
the
for plot.
18th.
It's like eight.
Yeah.
It's like 8
November
days.
18th. Well, it's
Yeah.
200
on the 18th.
It's
right.
264 something. So I think that's hours. I know it's not days, but it's a long
hours,
time.
I think. It's like 10 days.
Sure. So,
sure.
so Archer and his team get wind of where Castor Troy is, and they track him down. There's this huge fight, and Castor Troy loses. Sean Archer thinks he's dead, and then take Castor Troy's brother, Pollux Troy, into custody, where they learn that this bomb has been planted, and they hatch this plan, because they know that the brother won't talk to anybody but Castor. They hatch this plan for Sean Archer to essentially don the face of a still alive Castor Troy, so that he can convince Pollux Troy to give him the information as to where the bomb is, so they can save Los Angeles.
A perfectly reasonable plan.
Of course.
Completely reasonable.
And I love that it's Calm Fjord. Is
Yeah.
a Canadian legend of the stage. There's a lot of weird cameos in this movie.
There are a few.
Like Margaret Cho is just like one of the FBI agents.
She bad.
There's a guy in the prison who looks like Aaron Eckhart, but like isn't Aaron.
It's-
Eckhart.
it's Tom
With
Jane.
the glasses, right? Who's Tom Jane?
And bu-
That's
and
Aaron
by the-
Eckhart Light.
Yeah.
And by the way, the boyfriend who tries to rape his daughter, I'm pretty sure is
It's
Hyde
Danny
from that
Masterson.
70s show,
Yeah.
who
Who
is
is
an
that?
actual rapist.
Yeah.
I have that in my notes. I was like, oh, so he was a rapist before that 70s show.
Totally.
He's like,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
no wonder he
man.
nailed that scene and got the part.
And you know the only reason he's in the movie is because he's Scientology buds with Johnny T.
Yep.
Oh, for real? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even way back then?
Well, he probably like I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if he was
No,
back then. Maybe this
yeah,
was how
I
he
mean-
got into the church.
It's possible.
Ooh.
And even you know the dude, one of the bad guy henchmen, the dude who has the cheek scars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Tom Cruise's cousin or something.
Oh.
So
Oh, so
again,
this has
He's in,
Scientology all
I
over it, eh?
Oh man.
I recognized him from Gladiator. He plays his like buddy who like gets him the whatever.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So Daniel, we were at he gets his face offed.
He gets his
because
face
no one
offed.
knows Castor Troy better than Archer, so he's
Yeah.
the man for the job.
Yeah.
Right. Also, this is a super secret operation they're pulling here, so nobody knows that it's happening. And
some
Archer's
reason.
wife thinks he's going out of town for a week to pull this off. And all the while, Castor Troy is in a coma. They leave him faceless, but they leave Sean Archer's removed face
His
just
face
like
is just hanging on the thing.
Yeah.
it's
right
just
next
like
to him.
There
in
for
a
the
tub of,
ready. It's in
of
like,
alcohol.
It's in like a fish tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Filled with
In the center
Yeah.
of a room.
So then so Castor Troy then randomly wakes up from his coma for no specific reason, and becomes a supervillain essentially. He
always
stumbles
a
his way into the surgery room and pumps himself full of painkillers and gets Calm Troy back. No, Calm
Fjord.
Calm Troy.
Calm
He
Troy.
sends his henchman to go get Calm Troy to come back and
Calm
put
Troy.
John Travolta's face onto his face.
I love it. I love it
And then
so much.
he assumes Sean Archer's identity. And the catch here is that they had to put Sean Archer as Castor Troy into this really intense penitentiary that like people don't even know exists, in order for him to bond with and break Pollux Troy. What was his name? Pollux.
To find out
And
where the
the-
bomb is.
To find out where the bomb is. So he's in jail while Castor Troy playing Sean Archer assumes his identity as a detective and
Starts
takes over
stripping
his
his
life.
life and-
And then basically ensures that Sean Archer as Castor Troy stays in jail until Sean Archer as Castor Troy stages a riot and breaks out of the jail and then tracks down Castor Troy playing Sean Archer, and then a lot of big gunfights and
by the way,
explosions happen.
he escapes through like a little like a stairwell in the prison. He gets his boots off. His whole prison escape sequence warrants some discussion, I think, and how that all happened. But basically, he goes out of a door, and he's on the sort of top helicopter pad, and you realize the whole prison is like on a big like an aircraft carrier boat kind
It's
of
an
thing.
oil rig.
Yeah.
It's on an oil rig. So and then the chopper, this helicopter is chasing him. He jumps off the thing into the water.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "That's it. He got away."
Yeah.
Helicopter's like, we better fly away now.
I guess we're a helicopter. We can't go in water, so we better just call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Daniel.
But essentially,
I mean,
it's-
that's
you said
kind
it.
of it. Then it's
And
just
then
it's a
Oh, yeah.
face off between the two of them.
yeah. And they
to
shoot
reclaim
so
their-
many guns,
So many guns. There's a sweet boat fight.
and the boat explodes at the
and
end.
the boat explodes, and someone uses a harpoon gun. Like it's just wall to wall ridiculous action in slow
There's, like,
motion.
Everything
they
explodes.
they explore each other's lives. Like
Yeah. And
Like-
one of them has golden guns, and they're super cool.
Wow.
Castor
One of them
Troy's
has-
guns are like the dopest shit I've ever seen.
Castor Troy's little treasure chest of things that he expects to be greeted with when he shows up to places. His 2 guns and then like
Yeah.
chiclets and a
some
joint.
and like blue pills and
Yeah.
blunts.
Yeah.
The
some
movie's
doobies.
quite complex, actually. There's lots that we can dig into.
That's why one of the
Yeah.
one of the first things I want to talk about with Face Off, I'll jump into Face Off first, is how many times they made sure that we, the audience, knew what was going on every time. There's a whole face.
Oh.
There's a whole part where I think it's the plan has been pitched to John Travolta, and then he's like, "So you're telling me you want me to take my face off? I'm going to wear his face." And he's like, "That's crazy." And it's like, thanks for explaining the plot of the movie. He explains the whole plot of the movie again. And then it happens again later
Yeah.
when I guess when Archer in
It's him
his stuck
as
in
Nicolas
Castor Troy's
Cage.
like gets to his family home. First of all, he opens the door and he goes, "Home." Just in case the audience was like
There's-
confused
there
as
was
to
a lot
which
of-
one he was.
Oh, he's in the house we've seen a lot of. Oh, okay.
I also love how they
Oh.
wrote. I love how they wrote into the script like the fact that like we'll give you an abdominoplasty to get rid of
Yeah.
your
Those love handles.
because they are John Travolta is clearly like fat and puffy and
Yeah.
a bigger guy than Nicolas Cage. Where like most movie stars would probably like have to lose some weight, like maybe like slim down a bit for the role, whatever.
No.
So
Where's
like,
Billy?
at least not even for vanity, just so like he matches Nicolas Cage. It's like he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You just write a thing about an abdominoplasty, which I guess then Nicolas Cage got like his fat was also like on
put
the
it in.
thing,
Yeah.
so that Confiore put his back rolls into him, so that he became all puffy. Also, he had sex with John Travolta's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they also did like a dick surgery where they put his foreskin back on.
Well, that's the thing is that
They
they
did
go
everything.
they go to such great length to explain how in depth this procedure is about the abdominoplasty and everything like that, but then they ignore like the basic principles of your face, like bone structure and teeth, and just like what makes your face look like your face beyond just the skin of
Daniel?
your face.
Daniel, they use lasers, and that's super cool. Okay.
Look, there's like a 90s era computer that has a graphic of the hairline receding as they're lasering his hair. It's science magic. So
yeah.
it would have been more real if they're like, we're gonna break your face, and then we're gonna break all your bones, and then we're gonna burn you horribly, and then we're gonna build you from jelly. You've been like, yeah, that's
And
probably more.
that would
and
make
you're
more
going to be
sense.
able to like just get up and walk around within 20 minutes or
Yo,
so.
the sequence of them changing his
It's like-
voice.
Oh, nonsense.
Mwah.
What I love about that too is that the guy is like, now there's a hypersensitive high-tech chip in your voice box, and
Even
if
a
you-
hard sneeze.
Yeah.
even an intense
Thanks,
sneeze
Doc.
could knock it loose, and then cue 2
That's a nice
hours
plot
of like
point.
aggressive fight scenes, and he's fine.
Yelling. Yeah.
His first minute in the jail, he gets punched in the neck.
Can we,
it's
can
just
we
like
talk
this-
for a quick?
Yes,
Sorry, can we talk for a quick second about Nicolas Cage's fucking acting in this movie?
Oh, please. What
second-
the
Not
fuck?
to mention John Travolta's acting in
well,
this
yeah,
movie.
Because
Both
they
of them,
had to. You have two insane actors, and they were. It's like they
But
both
see, I-
interpreted this role as like one of them is like a a diehard Fed law abider, and the other one is
I'll
like
go
the
on
most-
break when the case breaks.
Yeah, when the
Yeah.
case breaks. And then the other one is like the most insane criminal. And then you just have them like one-upping each other as to what that insanity looks like.
And,
And
like
it makes for one of the most unique viewing experiences that I think you'll ever have.
is
It's
this
bonkers.
your
but
guys'
I mean,
first?
go
is this
ahead.
your guys'
Andrew.
first time with the magic of Face Off?
Yeah, I've never seen this before. I've never seen either of them, obviously, the other one, but
Oh, you had never seen it.
I'd never seen Face Off. And I ended last week's episode with Grapes of Wrath, saying that like only a few times in my life has a movie made me sit afterwards and just like stew in what it was trying to do. And this movie, I won't put in with that, but I definitely had to like sit and like do some deep breathing and like bring myself back to this planet after Face Off ended.
There was some speculation. So Andrew, when it was wondered because I think Sean or someone looked it up on. Did you look up Rotten Tomatoes?
Daniel did, yeah.
Dan looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes, and it actually has like a pretty good like score.
People fucking love this movie,
and that's the thing. And I'm happy for there to be any. If this stews some controversy, we'll take it. Like of giving it the schlocky title. I think it's like a classic of schlock. Like this is one of those like king schlock movies.
And certainly compared to Face of Another, it is complete and total schlock.
I think compared to most movies, it's insane, but it has a kind of majesty about it that is undeniable. Like it is, it's like so
it's also
realized.
It's also pretty like unironically beloved, which is surprising to me. Like Roger Ebert gave it like 3 stars, and there's a couple of just great reviews of it that made me laugh so hard. Which was one of them. Okay, this is great. This is from Richard Corliss of Time Magazine. Said that the film isn't just a thrill ride, it's a rocket into the thrilling past when directors could scare you with how much emotion they packed into a movie.
No.
Wow.
Okay, and then Roger
Ebert
means he didn't understand what was going on.
Roger Ebert said, "Here, using big movie stars and asking them to play each other, Wu and his writers find a terrific counterpoint to the action scenes. All through the movie, you find yourself reinterpreting every scene as you realize the other character is really playing it." Like
I did actually find that though. I did actually find that
they were really going for it. It was just I'm shocked that of the like accolades this movie got, the two of them got like recognition for their acting.
They got recognition for like their act, but there's one last one which I really liked, which is Barbara Scholgasser from the San Francisco Examiner called the movie idiotic and argued that a good director would choose the best of the 6 ways and put it in his movie. Wu puts all 6 in. If you keep your eyes closed during a Wu movie and open them every 6 minutes, you'll see everything you need to know to have a perfectly lovely evening at the cinema.
That is a perfect review of this movie.
Because Face Off is also 2 hours long.
Yeah,
sorry,
it's 2.5. It's like
that's way too early. It's like almost 2.5 hours long.
Oh, I see what I did there.
This movie is so fucking
like
long.
This movie felt way longer than Face of Another, and they're both roughly the same. But like, just because, like she says, he's putting so much into every shot. There is no subtlety in any shape or form in this film at all. So you have to take everything at full volume and full face value, and it's exhausting.
And a lot of slow-mo.
Yeah.
So much
like they just invented
slow-mo.
Of slow-mo.
With like them making the most ridiculous faces. By the way, did you read? Apparently, the original developers of this movie wanted to cast Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Which I want to see that movie.
And then they had Michael Douglas and Harrison Ford.
And then Michael Douglas weirdly became an executive producer. Yeah, he just loved the movie so much.
Yeah,
can you guys imagine though? Can you guys try to imagine a movie where Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone are trying to play each other for 2 hours?
Like trying to do each other's voice.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna think about that.
Or something.
It's a funny casting challenge. It's a funny casting challenge with this one because it's almost like I'm imagining these casting directors being like, okay, who are 2 weird wooden bizarro actors that will just deliver just odd performances that we can kind of sort of interchange, and it would be sort of believable. And it's Travolta and Nick Cage are like the perfect combination of that.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't use like a really like some like respected
like Daniel Day-Lewis and I don't know who else.
Daniel Day-Lewis
and like Gary Oldman.
I want it to be. I'm happy for it to be Nick Cage as like to establish like the wild I can't say the word anymore. Eccentricity. Thank you. Of the
Castor.
villain. Yeah. Of Castor. I hate that their names are Castor and Pollux, by the way.
Pollux, yeah.
And then
I was like, what are these dumb names that these writers made up? Castor,
they're-
Troy,
It's a
and Paul,
Greek,
but they're
it's a
actually
Greek
they're
mythology
actually
reference,
Greek.
right?
they're Greek
yeah.
demigods or something like that.
Which is even
There's
cooler.
constellations named after them, and their last name is Troy, and I don't even know why they did it.
And his wife is named Eve, and his new son that he gets at the end is named Adam.
Oh my god, I forgot about the new
God.
son.
Fuck.
I
didn't
forgot about
even
the new
catch
son.
all
It was,
that
I think,
garbage.
the same actor.
Yeah,
the
I
kid-
thought
I
so
know.
too. They just let him grow his hair out in the same shape a little bit.
They're like,
Yeah.
they just hire one actor.
But yeah, I'm happy for Nick Cage to do that and establish that. But I wanted it to be like some more like serious stoic actor on the other side, so they really have to play the out. It's like Bob Balaban, like it's something just more serious and straight, and then they really have to like go the other way.
Yeah, that would have been cool. One thing I will say though is that as far as like the swap goes, I think that like Travolta did a fantastic job of capturing Cage's isms
Pretty
in this
good.
film. Yeah, I mean ism.
Sure.
I mean Nick Cage is a nutcase, so like, you're kind of just playing a cartoon character, but Nick Cage doesn't seem to be able to go the other way. Like he has
No.
like crazy, but and then when he was playing Travolta, it kind of just looked like he was in severe pain
It's like manic,
for an
manic
hour and a
sobbing.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I especially liked the scenes early in the prison chunk where he has to be playing. So he's Sean Archer inside Castor Troy, pretending really hard to be Castor Troy in a way that the audience knows it's not Castor Troy, but so that his brother thinks it is Castor Troy.
And he's like, and then he runs into the guy that he like busted or whatever, and he's like, I mean Archer.
He's instantly the worst cop ever. And even
Like you're
before
an
he
FBI
gets,
agent. Like Jesus Christ.
they come to him with the plan, and they're like, "We got to take your face off and put his. There's no other way." And he's like, "Yes, there's absolutely another way. Put me in a room with his gang, and I will get the answer." And you're like, "Cool, we're gonna see some like interrogation room drama." He tries no tactics, and then puts a gun in a guy's mouth and gets one little bit of information.
In his
like
eye.
in his eye.
His eye.
Yeah, in his
It's
eye.
actually
Right.
pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
I also love that they didn't brief him at all on anything to do with the relationship between Castor and his brother. So he gets into prison and he's just like, "Oh, bro, I'm fried. I forget everything about my life. Tell me." Like no details at all.
And in that same conversation, he gets his brother to give him the information that he needs. There's no.
His brother's just like looking at him like
Yeah.
vaguely like, is this
Oh,
him with a
but I actually
different
didn't-
face?
I don't think they meant it like that. I think again, the reason that it has to be Archer is because he knows Castor Troy and his affiliates and his life and stuff better than anyone else.
Yeah.
And I think that line about him feeling fried is to excuse why he's acting irregularly,
Sure. Yeah.
not
No,
why
but he
doesn't
goes on
know
to say
stuff.
that he just forgets everything and doesn't know any details. Like it's his way of excusing the fact that he doesn't know anything about Castor Troy's relationship to his brother.
No. It's because he wants the brother to tell him.
He wants his brother to
He's
tell
like-
him stuff like where the bomb is. He's trying to set up an excuse for why he might say something about the bomb.
That was unclear.
It's a really
It was pretty
high
clear.
level FBI interrogation
you, Jack.
tactic. So
That two other like office workers knew about, who then Castor happens to kill at the doctor's office, and then no one knows anything about this,
it is the stupidest run
including
operation.
like the warden of this jail, who's funny enough played by that funny actor who plays Norm in Fargo. And
Yeah.
he's in,
Oh, yeah.
he was in.
I just
He
know him
played
from
the
the Drew
guy
Carey
who main
show.
suspect in Zodiac.
yeah.
That's him.
He's really good.
Yeah,
He is really good.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
But,
that's a ridiculous bit of plot that they really try and get over quickly, which is that when Castor Troy wakes up, which is a really cool sequence, by the way. I thought him like the almost like jump scare out of the bed, and then he's like stumbling around and he's making weird like screechy noises as he doesn't have lips and all that kind of stuff. And then he manages to get he manages to, I guess, find out where he is. He calls his gang. They come. They get
find
the
the doctor. Yeah.
The doctor must have told them that it was a black bag operation, and he tells them Who
Yeah.
else?
About the
knew?
other two?
So
Yeah.
they go and get them pretty easily, and then they burn them tied to chairs and the whole
right.
lab down, and then just everyone else is just like nothing.
No
to
one
see
knows
here.
anything.
Nothing
And they're all-
suspicious here at all.
Nope.
They're like, wow, like Archer's like way cooler now.
Yeah. Like
My favorite scene is when Nicolas Cage as Archer goes into his daughter's room, and his daughter's like, and he's like, the plot thickens, and then he like sees the cigarettes, and she's like, my friend left them here, and he's like, give me. And he takes one and starts smoking, and she's like, when did you smoke? And he's like, this Papa's got a brand new bag, and then the daughter
There's
is
a lot
like,
of changes around here.
and then like the daughter's reaction is like,
He's
like,
so
cool.
now.
yeah. Cool dad. Okay.
Dad's being cool now.
Oh.
Just
yeah,
every choice in this movie is insane, and in its defense, it lets you know that that's what the movie's going to be right away. Nick Cage has his moment where he's planting the bomb as a sorry. Okay, I need to rewind.
Yeah, why
a
is
lot.
he a priest?
No one. It's no one.
because there's a church group doing the Messiah.
right? Because there's a
I forgot about
the
that.
Messiah.
Yeah.
I think we know that it's gonna be crazy
Is this
from
a
the moment
Christmas
that we. Oh my God, baby! No, I think we know it's gonna be crazy from the moment we see Nick Cage's mustache in the opening scene, and there's those like,
And then-
weird
and then he-
like,
and then he doesn't have a
close-up,
mustache
slow-mo
later. It's like-
shots of him sipping on the straw right before he takes the sniper shot,
Yeah.
and you're like,
So
okay,
it's clear that
I'm
that's the
buckling up.
past.
Yeah.
Actually, that opening sequence was the most subtle the movie was. And I was actually really engrossed by like just the imagery, you can tell everything about the two characters just by what they're showing us. And I thought, whoa, okay, John
But
Woo.
the editing in that sequence was so heavy-handed, and it felt
Yeah.
like a fucking made-for-TV movie. It was
and the
it was
melodrama
rough.
score that is with the strings pumping up in the background every time
Yeah.
you're supposed to feel a certain way. It's so like carefully manipulated throughout the entire film.
Yeah, there are two establishing the credits at the beginning of this movie play over two establishing sequences. Yeah. Because they can't have one. They have one that has like a soft focus on it where Travolta gets shot and his kid dies.
Right.
And then we cut into the second establishing sequence where now Nick Cage has shed his mustache, donned his priest robe, and he's dancing. He's dancing to the Messiah. He's dancing through the room, and then he has a little moment chatting with a woman he doesn't know, but like seems like she knows him a little bit.
All women are into Castor Troy immediely.
They're into Castor, so he grabs her butt, and then he makes the craziest face ever up towards the camera.
Before he starts screaming hallelujah, right?
Yeah.
And then he sings hallelujah.
I love how he's like,
and the
Handel's a
credits are
hack.
still going.
Handel's a hack. The Messiah's overrated.
Yeah,
But
saying
the way
stuff
you
that
sing
women
it,
love.
I like it.
Yeah. And that's also in that first sequence we establish the other most fucking more than anything that Nick Cage does in this movie. The craziest choice to me in this movie that I laughed at every time was the choice that Archer's way that he shows affection is by running his fingers down.
Why, dude? Are you
This is
blind? Come on.
like Dan used to do to people randomly.
Oh, yeah.
And take it from me, people do not like it.
People do not. They had to ask him to stop.
Oh, yeah. No,
And-
there's nothing sensual. There's nothing personal about having
It's like
someone's
what the
fingers
fuck is- what are you? What are
just
you?
easily
Weird. I don't like
dragging their way down your
And
face.
it's one of the ways that he gets his he has to. It's a decent sequence of him trying to get his wife to realize that it's actually him and not the man who killed their son. And she has a gun pointed at him, and he's like he's stepping towards her. And he's like, "I'm coming in slowly. I'm walking slowly." And then he moves the gun and quickly swipes her face.
And she's like, it's you.
And she doesn't jump back and shoot him, thinking that he's trying to attack her. She's like, "Oh, that's my husband. My husband like to do that."
There's also some just beautiful lines of dialogue that happen. My favorite probably being, "This is a big gun. Fly the fucking plane."
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
One of my favorites.
Followed up by fly bitch.
Fly pitch.
Yeah.
I think one of my
And then
favorite-
they're like dropping a helicopter onto the plane.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like,
it was a
and like
helicopter.
the steering wheel is clearly not really attached to anything.
Yep.
My favorite
that was great.
Nick Cage Castor Troy line, I think, when I wrote down right from the beginning when he's still playing himself, is that he is, I guess, seducing the flight attendant that we find out is a secret Fed.
Yeah.
Winters. And he kind of sits her on his lap and he goes, if I were to send you flowers,
Oh, it's so
let me rephrase. If I were to let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful? And then he
Now-
sticks out his tongue and then she sucks it.
And then she sucks his tongue, like kind of without missing a beat. Yeah.
Now, Jack, can you do that line reading one more time, but like with a little more cage on it?
I don't know if I have a cage. Like I don't.
We've all
I
got
ha-
an inner cage, but we shouldn't let it out.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's fair.
He's hard to nail down.
You can't see my wide eyes on the podcast. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
When he was doing that
wasn't
scene
bad.
where he's like freaking out in the mirror and he like sees himself, like Nicolas Cage for sure thinks he's like about to win an Oscar
Yeah.
doing
He's
those
going for
sequences. Oh yeah, it's great.
But that whole runway sequence, if we're gonna speak even somewhat chronologically about this movie, let's say, is actually quite cool.
Pretty cool.
Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of like I give John Woo credit for lots of practical stuff, like old school Hong Kong style stunt work, where like he's like, oh, how are you gonna get the effect of driving a plane through a hangar? He's like, I'm gonna drive a plane through a hangar. And they're like,
No, a lot
He's
of
like,
the
"No,
action
that's
is
what I'm
legit.
doing."
Like all the
Except
chases
for,
and slow motion.
I want to give like all the praise. There are a lot of incredible stunts that are just like filmed straight on that are made possible by incredible stunt people in this movie. Moments like Winters being shot and like the body dropping out of the plane, onto the runway was like quite
Oh yeah,
chilling, actually.
that was dope.
And then it gets to the whole ridiculous shootout inside the hangar. And
Mind-boggling.
they establish that people will exclusively be doing dive shooting.
So accurate.
You see people dive shoot for no reason.
Yeah,
for no reason.
You could be running, but no, we got
And it never works.
People
No
do
one
rolls.
gets hit at all.
Yeah, nothing happens. No, or they hit everyone somehow.
Right, yeah.
All the feds
Yeah.
are standing. John Travolta runs up and stands on top of a truck and starts shooting, and then he like rolls off of it or whatever.
I'm not sure whether Castor Troy is supposed to be like the best shot in the world or the worst shot in the world based on his performance in the film.
It's a both. He can dive and shoot people, and sometimes he can, with a submachine gun, take out an entire boat of people. It changes throughout
Right.
the movie.
The other just to draw attention to one funny moment that stuck out to me was when after they like have caught Castor Troy and John Travolta like walks into the office. This is like to establish him as kind of like he's like a serious cop who doesn't care, and they're all cheering. He's like, everyone shut up, what up? And he like and then and then they're like, the CIA sent you this bottle of champagne.
Yeah.
Which to me is really hilarious that like they bust like a supervillain and the CIA is like, we should send Archer a bottle of what looks to be pretty cheap champagne and like a weird little card
This
with
is
a
like just
bow
for
on it.
you or
I
something
feel
like
like the CIA and the FBI don't really have that kind of protocol. I don't know. I could be wrong. But then he like does the toast and he like names all the people and
That
they're
died.
like, take a break, and then he's I'll take a break when the kid anyway.
I actually thought it was an okay moment, though. I like that and actually thought Travolta did a fine job with it of being like, maybe we drink to these people instead of like acting like we won something today. And I was like, oh, that's like for an action movie, that's a pretty decent choice to make.
That made you that made you like his character, brought you in a little bit.
Yeah, I just dug it. But I just want to also say, like, finish my point though about the stunt people and stuff, which is that I love them for their work. However, they were also the worst ever. As the follow up to that, which is that they
takes a left
clearly
turn.
they clearly had stunt people just like in roles, just like they were about to get shot, and so they cast them as Fed number 3, and it's like. It's Travolta being like, get down to a guy who's just meandering, like through, not really looking, just like a blank faced person who's good at being knocked down for a living. and other shots of there was an establishing shot even before the guy got blasted away with like a shotgun or whatever, and you could see the wires pull him back.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
make
Even in the
any
shot,
attempt.
in the shot before that,
He's
and they
walking
didn't even
in.
he's walking with a wire attached to his back.
And then he gets kicked, and you can see how stupidly ridiculous the wire trick is. How it's just out of the realm of possibility. But you're also watching the wires flail around.
And I guess John Woo was like, they're in a flight hangar. There are fucking cables hanging down. No one will notice. And it's like, we can see.
And
John.
apparently, there's also just hooked up engine turbines sitting out in the middle of the hangar.
that you can start by shooting.
Yeah. And there's a there's a big red emergency stop button on it too.
Yeah, but they had the shot just so we knew of a spark or whatever going off on the button panel, so we knew that the bullet had turned it on.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. But
Did
the
you also
worst
notice
part. Sorry, I have to finish this. The worst thing of the stunt people was whoever the guy was that Nick Cage's double was. The dude had long hair. The whole the whole movie. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why has no one cut this dude's hair? Like, surely that must be in his contract. It'd be Nick Cage with a borderline buzz cut falling off the boat, and then it would cut to someone like, foot surfing on the water when his hair was blowing in the wind, and I was like, it's clearly just like fucking Mitchell again.
Was
And
he
I was
also
like,
filming
so
Con
many
Air?
shots.
Maybe they were doing both Con Air and this at the same time, and he needed to be versatile for Con Air as well.
Maybe. I just can't remember the last time I've seen so many shots where it's blatantly other people like flying through the air and stuff
Yeah.
like that and falling down ramps and whatever than this movie. It's like Nick Cage, not Nick Cage,
I love-
Nick Cage, not Nick Cage.
Is it in the church when the daughter arrives and then she gets pushed down the stairs and it's like a tracking shot of her rolling down the stairs?
Yeah. There's a bunch of those where it's like clearly someone else. Like they get thrown off the boat at the end, and there's like fully their faces. It's like some other guy.
Yeah. Oh.
There's lots of great details, like when he's disarming the bomb, like pressing the code
Right.
into the little keypad. Each time he presses one of the numbers, it turns into a flame.
Yeah.
It's
But you
like
can
a
tell
flaming
that
X.
you can tell that
Yeah.
it was a video that they had him probably practice on because the fire comes up before he touches it a couple times.
I noticed that too.
He couldn't get it quite right. So it's like-
This $1 million actor can't touch the damn screen in
I'm just
time.
imagining Castor Troy programming this bomb. He's like, so when we push the buttons, they should turn into fire.
Yeah.
Can we do that? And the programmer's like, it'll take me an extra 6 weeks. But like, it's fine. Just do it. I want fire buttons.
Also, when I'm setting the bond, could like a skull and crossbones come up? It's like,
Oh, yeah.
And when it's disarmed, can a naked lady pop up?
ooh, it's the
ladies are hot.
90s.
Yeah. The height of two-dimensional computer game softcore porn.
Oh yeah. So, but I want to move ahead though to what I mentioned before, the face swapping sequence, which is ridiculous. It's hysterical, and especially how they try to like tech justify it, and also super impressive. And they did a lot of practical stuff. They made these like practical heads that they like made these fake faces of both actors
Totally.
that don't really look like them.
No.
The John Travolta face looked like him.
Yeah, the one of Nick Cage had like really long eyebrows. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's like they don't really look like them. That doesn't like fully convince you, but it's enough that you're like, I know what you're doing, and you
Sure,
do this so
right.
that you can do this stuff without CGI. And in general, I was like, thank you. Like, yes, this is how you commit to a premise. This is how you commit to a sequence. You make practical faces.
Yeah.
You do ridiculous computer shots. You get Confior, and you just do it. And I actually thought that sequence, which is like obviously like incredibly important for the movie, was well done. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make you kind of laugh at it, but you go, yeah, yep.
It's
That's
the
what you're
title
selling me.
sequence of the film. It
buy
is
it.
what the film is.
Yeah.
It is what they were promised.
Face off.
Off.
I want to take his
Literally.
face.
No more drugs for that guy.
No more. And then he falls off the bed.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and they have the quick because there's some timeline stuff in this movie that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Colm Fiore, the Doctor Man, has a throwaway line where he's like, "Thanks to new medication, the inflammation process takes
a
week.
days instead of
Right.
weeks."
Uh-huh.
Which, if you've had things like re-sewn together and stuff, it's not like an inflammation issue.
Yeah, it's
so
like
much.
he's popping Tylenol for a for a new face surgery.
But they have
Yeah.
lasers, guys. They've got
Oh,
lasers.
lasers!
Yeah.
I forgot the lasers.
And then the top Washington D.C. crew comes in at the end to put his face back on, and they clearly have the exact. So this is like a top tier government program that only Colm Feore, those two best friend characters, best work friend characters, and like the president, I guess, and like a couple of his lackeys know about this face system.
Yeah. They put his face back, and they also put that fat back into his body as well.
Yeah. They've just got jars of like FBI agent fat sitting around various
Yeah.
labs all over the country.
Yeah. It's just like goose down.
Just
they,
goose down.
Yeah.
Are we close to the other one, or do we still have time to pull apart this mess?
Oh no, we're giving this one more time.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. So yeah, the inflammation period though, they say takes days, and yet it appears, unless I'm wrong, it seems that Castor Troy wakes up, gets turned into Archer, and then like shows up to the prison later that same day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And is there for like 5 days.
yeah. No, what?
Because his wife says near the end that like you've
been a
let me
week.
sleep. It's been a week. You've let me sleep next to that man for a week.
Oh, a week.
So he's
So-
in the prison for like 5 days, and then he escapes. For a
Yeah,
couple
but I'm saying
before
it
that
seems
part.
like Castor Troy puts on Travolta's face and then
Right.
goes to the prison like that day.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It seems like there is no recovery process for him.
Yeah, like he wakes
seems
up, like he recovers overnight, and then goes to prison
Yeah.
right away.
yeah,
But he's insane, so
Yeah.
he can do that.
he can do
He's like
that.
a super cop.
I wanted.
He's
I
taking-
would have liked a little thing of like, because he rushed it, like during that scene, if like blood started to drizzle from his.
Well, I
from,
mean,
Face is like
again,
just a little loose.
Yeah.
It's like not quite. Like,
again, if you
God
watch
damn it, stay.
if you watch Nick Cage's face in any scene in that prison, like I said, he looks like he is just suffering like intense pain or like severe gastrointestinal issues or something. So
Prison food.
yeah,
Nick,
exactly.
Nick Cage's performance, not in this, but just in general as an actor, is always so creative. This specifically though, it really reminds me of that Louis C.K. bit about the actor in Wizard of Oz, who like gives the over the top performance.
Yeah.
Oh
And he's
yeah.
like, but then they tore my arms off and threw them over there. And the director's like, he's fine.
That's good.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
You
that's
say
a really
no
good
to
point.
Nick
And
Cage.
like Nicolas Cage is like he like does a take and he's like, so it's like so
More-
Nick
more
and he's like and he's
they
like
have the moment.
yes and he's like
The whole-
just do it, it's fine.
The whole prison sequence, the prison, which is insane. They have magnetized boots. They have a 5x5 collection of screens that plays nature footage. Their exercise is
blows
walking
up
in
at
a circle. And Nick Cage first gets there and he gets in a fight right away for we don't even fully know why.
Where he's throwing like high knees. These are magnetized boots that are meant to keep your feet on the ground, but they just
Yep.
like stop working during a prison fight.
The guy who
they have
assaults
to be
him.
turned on.
The guy who assaults him literally like throws himself through the air to attack him. So the whole like magnet boot thing is meh.
Well, they have
Well,
to be turned
I
on,
think-
guys. That's the point.
I think the
No, but they're
magnet
still
boots
heavy.
the
Yeah, they
magnet
should be
boots are
heavy.
tracking. We don't know how heavy they are. They could be made out of aluminium.
Maybe they're moon boots when they're not turned on.
Stop trying to poke
Oh.
holes in this airtight screenplay.
Really? No.
But Nick Cage in his performance, he's like getting in this fight and he has to like be fighting and he's like defending himself, but also has to convince Pollux that it's Castor. And so he is like letting himself like vent this like fury onto these criminals, and then he's like
scream crying.
He smashes someone over the face, and then he goes like, whoa! Oh, sorry. I don't want to burn the mic. He like screams and like grabs his face, and then he like starts laughing out of it because he has to stay in character.
He's trying to like do his Castor Troy impression.
Yeah.
And it is the craziest thing.
But even Nick Cage as Sean Archer in Castor Troy, when he first comes to and has his "fuck you" and "fuck you,"
Yeah.
"fuck you" is insane.
Yeah, but I dig it.
That's the thing. Like, it's great. Like, as you know, you could pick this movie apart and be like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make. It's a ride, and I loved it from beginning to end. It's just like I'm like, am I ironically liking this? I guess so, but it's also just as you said, it kind of tells you what it is.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that it's
and I don't like the sneering like Face Off is so stupid. It's like it's a their faces are off and they're facing off. That's what's happening.
Yeah,
you're either on board or don't bother.
I was not on board.
Really?
No, but that's a good point though. This is
board.
kind of like the John Wick thing, where like if you know what the movie is and you're self-aware enough to just lean into
John Wick is subtle. John Wick.
Okay,
like,
but John Wick is an entire. It's not subtle, but it's also an entire movie.
Subtle.
It's also an entire movie about a guy going on a crazy killing spree because someone killed his dog.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you can lean into a silly premise because you know what the movie is and you know what the audience is like there to see,
right?
then it's all good. If you're not self-aware and you're taking yourself way too seriously as like trying to be a heavy dramatic action film, then no, that's not going to work. But this movie knew what it was.
But John Wick knows how to go, like, it knows how to show how insanely weird that plot line is, but it knows how to cater it to you in a palatable way. This movie is an assault on all your senses for 2.5 hours.
But that's the point, though. And obviously, I'm not saying John Wick is a more subtle movie than Face Off.
Guys, I feel like we're spinning off into a random side comparison. But,
John Wick versus Face Off?
Yeah, we're not doing that podcast. It's one of the things. I think Face Off, like, it does know what it is, and I think you can't debate that. And I think it's executing that. Whether or not that is pleasing is a different conversation. But I think
it's kind of this podcast.
Yeah, I'm saying that we can have that conversation as well. But I think it's undeniable that it is like executing its insane vision in its own, like in a way that is.
It is
like
insanely being insane.
This movie is unforgettable.
Yeah. Sure. Yes. Absolutely. I
You know
will
what I
give
mean?
it that moniker. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is something. I've seen really good movies that I don't remember. And you know what I mean? It's not like
Remember The
memorability.
Revenant?
Not really.
Like kind of.
Yes.
I like The Revenant.
Stop bringing up other movies.
What else has DiCaprio done lately? Let's talk about that for a while.
Shutter Island.
Also, help me out here. In my notes, I just have the line, "Is your daughter ripe yet?" What was that from? Who is saying that?
Because Castor Troy calls everybody Peach for some reason. That's like his like nickname for like
he likes
Right.
peaches.
and he's like, your daughter's a peach. I wonder if she's right. He has some weird line like that where
I
he's
can
like,
eat
Is it on the
peach
phone?
for
Is it-
hours.
Is it over the phone?
yeah, I think he's on the phone talking to Archer.
Oh, it's when he calls him in jail, right?
Yeah. And he's like,
Oh, yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna fuck your daughter, and she's a peach, and is she ripe? And it's just some good screenwriting.
And
It's
I
usually
did
sexual
think
stuff.
I did think he was going to fuck his daughter. I have in my notes also, "Don't fuck his daughter!" exclamation.
And the daughter
mark.
was
man.
seemed kind of down.
Yeah. Yeah.
God.
There's definitely some issues going on. There's a lot of separation anxiety that's unresolved. Yeah.
And I love how the
Dr.
daughter's
Sean.
like, I know they have the whole thing of like the daughters like going through different phases and taking on different identities, which I think adds to the theme of the movie overall.
Oh, of course.
But
that was
I
my
love how
favorite.
By the end of the movie, she's fully just like a total preppy, like boring ass blonde girl.
Yeah, the very first shot we see her in, it's an extreme slow motion close up of just her eyes turning and opening to camera, and like Her eyelashes are literally painted on her face in like deep
Yeah.
black makeup.
Yeah.
And then by the end, she's like a cheerleader.
Yep. That's her character arc.
Yeah, she starts
Yes,
as Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. And ends as Clueless.
Yeah, and ends as Clueless. That's right.
That's her late 90s movie
That's a
arc right
solid
there.
90s arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must. I just think about like at the end of the movie, the ending of this movie is hysterical, and again, they really gloss over it, so none of the characters have to deal with it. But when it's all spiraling out of control, and the ruse is up, the jig is up or whatever, and the daughter shoots Nick Cage because she thinks it's the bad guy, obviously. And then Travolta immediately grabs her and takes her as a hostage. And then he's about to kill her before she stabs him with the knife that he gave her, which is actually not a bad moment. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But not before he licks her face.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets away. And then like the movie doesn't give any time for her to like deal with the fact. It's like, no, that man just looked like your father and he licked your face. It's actually the man who killed your brother. Like,
They're supposed to get on board real quick.
and you just watched your dad die by getting impaled to a wall, but that's not really your dad. Even though he licked your face earlier, that's not him.
Yeah.
It's your brother.
You've got to keep up. You got to keep up, honey.
She's like, sorry, I shot you, Dad.
It's okay. My face was on a different
I can never
guy's
look
face.
at you the same way, Dad.
Yeah. Well, that's like, why did he get his own face back at the end of this movie? You should have gotten a completely different, unrelated face so that you can
You should have got that. You should have got that Japanese guy's face.
Yes. Should have get with the weird beard. Yeah,
with
totally.
the mole.
In the mole, you left the mole.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say something about the ending. Oh yeah, when
The ball
when he's
shot.
he's like dying. He's like dying, and he's like, "You're not gonna go back to your," and he starts to like fuck his face up to try to like. To like, so he can't go back, but he's funnily like
tracing
around
his
the
face.
He's doing
kind
the
of
work
doing
for
the
them,
doctor's job.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't like do a gash down the center or something like that. It's like he's trying to cut his face off,
No.
and
then,
the doctors are just like, "Oh, great, you kind of started this already. The process is already in
continue in
motion."
the ambulance.
Yeah.
It would have been a funny twist.
And then,
Go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, and then the day is saved by a well-placed nut shot, which allows him to free the harpoon gun and kill Castor Troy once and for all.
Yep.
Proving that
And he
nut
sings his
shots.
song. He has a weird song that he sings. He's like, "Come on, baby, we're going downtown," or whatever he says as he's dying. Because he does it when he gets like blown into the like by the motor in the first scene where they catch him. He like sings this weird song.
Oh yeah.
Right. About
Going
like
to-
taking a trip or something like that.
We're
Ready
like
to-
taking
ready
a
to-
trip, and he's like his face
Yeah.
is all cut up as John Travolta. He's like, "We're taking a trip down there, baby."
I dig it. It's so bold. Like
Well, he makes choices, you know.
everyone's
There were
making big
choices made.
choices.
Oh boy.
But my favorite part
They
of
should
the
have
ending,
the alternate title should have been choices.
choices,
Face
choice off.
Choice off.
My favorite part, though, in the ending, which is so shoehorned and ridiculous and so unnecessary, is that after Archer has successfully finally killed Castor, he finds out that Castor has had this secret son who looks just like his son. And at the end of the movie, he returns back to his house. Miranda laughed because she was like, no, she would have been at the hospital with him and would have come home with him. No. But he comes home alone, apparently, drove himself.
Well, no, it's the special DC doctors that are doing this, so they have their special
Right.
like DC lab.
Yeah, it's a black bag operation again. No one knows about it. And then he walks and he comes in and he's like, he's apparently left this kid behind in the car. And he's like, I have something else to show you. And he brings out,
He's like, I gotta ask you guys
Castor
something.
Troy's son, who looks like their son, and who he has, in an insane frenzy, started calling Michael when he was supposed to be
Right.
Castor still, which was
The
insane.
mom's like, "You're scaring him."
And Miranda and I both laughed like, adoption is very complicated.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like, I just want to imagine
Stole
that
the child.
Yeah, that whole scene of the people being like, so this child is going to be severely scarred, and him being like, that's cool. I can take him in. It's like, I don't think that's a good idea. It's like, no. I can protect him from the criminal entities that want to kill you. Yeah. But I can protect him. Okay, so why do you think that? Well, you see, I killed his dad, you see, and his dad killed my son.
Whoa.
Yeah, so anyway, I'll be taking him home now.
I'll be taking him home now.
Like,
Okay,
how
yeah.
fucking crazy is Archer going to go when he grows up and starts to look like Castor Troy?
And that scene also presupposes that he brought the child up from the car onto the porch and was like, now you stay here. I'm
wait
going to
here,
go
yeah.
hug my family, something you don't really know about because you're from a broken home, a broken crime-ridden home. And I'm going to go hug them, and then I'm going to bring you into the family lifestyle, okay? Okay.
Just stand here and shut up for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. While I hug and kiss my child.
I have
I
to-
gotta
I have
do
to-
this.
I have to swipe my daughter's face.
You'll get to know it. Here, I'll do one for you.
The
There you go.
kid's like,
And
what
then
is
the-
this
and then the
gross,
daughter
weird
meets the
face
kid.
swiping?
And then she swipes his face.
And the kid's like, what the fuck? I want to go back to evil man. Where's
I miss my mom.
Nick? My sociopathic murderous father never did this shit to me. I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
That's the weirdest thing of all.
But it's implied that Castor didn't even... Did Castor not even know? Because
no, he
that's-
didn't know.
He
Oh,
didn't
because
even know,
she tells
like, meet your father.
Archer. Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
And he's like, I'm supposed to be having a realization right now, but I don't even know who you are.
No.
Well, all right, fellas. We can... I know there's so much we can talk about in this movie, but we should jump over. We have a timer going to keep us from talking too long, and I'm going to add a few more minutes because only like 15 minutes left on it. But let's...
Oops.
No, but we had to. Let's jump into the face of another a bit. And I
Daniel,
don't have as many notes for this.
Daniel, my
if I'm being
first
honest.
note, my first note is,
Yep.
and Daniel's gone.
Why? Why?
Just a
I love how you
gross-
laugh in understanding and then ask why.
Fuck you.
Well, because Sean and I have a little bit of a rivalry when it comes to our opinions on movies, but I think that it's funny because this movie actually gripped me for the first
Yeah.
10 minutes of the movie and then slowly just lost me. But the close up on the body parts as the psychiatrist is giving that weird analysis of the psyche and how he's there to kind of fill in the holes what's the line?
Inferiority complex.
That inferiority complex is
not a
create
finger, it's
holes
an
in the psyche,
inferiority
and then he's
complex.
there to fill it in, right? Like that was really cool. And then the whole monologue of the lead character through the X-ray shot, I thought was brilliant.
Never seen
the
something like that
shot was
before.
amazing.
Well, that
Holy
was the
shit.
thing, is that this film set my expectations so high in the opening, 5-10 minutes, and then didn't really deliver. So
Yeah.
So like that note is like, I see why you'd think that, Sean, but it should have come closer to like the 15 minute.
I also had a realization halfway through that this is 2 weeks of black and white movies in a row, and I was like, I should call Daniel.
How are you doing?
I loved last week. Grapes of
Yeah.
Wrath was great.
I know.
But like Grapes of Wrath was great because there seemed to be like a higher production value than there did in The Face of Another. Like there were some shots where the cinematography was brilliant in The Face of Another, and then some shots where I thought I was watching like a student film, like a first year
yeah.
student film.
This is like Japan's new wave, so it's
Yeah.
it's probably more easy to compare this film to something coming out of like France at this time frame than
Right.
like Hollywood. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying though, Dan. Like it does, it starts really cool. Like I have notes of like, I thought the X-ray thing was very cool. And again, I thought the whole surgery sequence was really well executed for how much they had at their disposal. Again, the kind of scant shots that they had of showing his like disfigured face were quite weird looking. Like you're like, yeah, that's like, I don't want to be like, ew, that's gross, but I think that's how I'm supposed to feel. And they had some cool shots, like weird random stuff. Like the dude's wall was covered with like ears. Ears were like really
and he has an ear like centerpiece in the room.
yeah, like a chair, ear chair, sort of
Yeah.
almost.
Another parallel to Face Off is because that's the first thing that you see them working on is like creating an ear.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Synchronicities.
Yeah,
That's true.
and the
And they-
poster for Face of Another has two women. I think that it has the daughter of the landlord, and then I would assume the like side plot
it's-
character.
Oh, is it her? I thought it was the wife, but I.
Oh yeah, no, it's the wife and the side plot character, and they're at the bottom of the poster, and it's the exact same shot as the like Travolta, Nick Cage, half in shadow thing.
Oh, that's hilarious
Yeah,
Nice.
and confusing. I'm totally confused again. But they did
I've
cool
never
things
not
too.
been confused about this movie.
Yeah, thoroughly confused. But they did cool shots too of hiding when they wanted to hide stuff by like having it done. They shot it through like a flask. And so it like bubbled where his head when the surgery was happening was like bubbled out by the flask. And it was actually like really cool stuff, like really smart, interesting choices.
you
And
all
then-
watch it on the Criterion
Yeah.
thing? Did mine auto played like behind
Video essay.
thing? Did
Oh,
any of you
I
watch
didn't
it?
watch it,
Oh,
but
I
it like
I
queued
wanna
it
watch
up.
that. I didn't.
Oh yeah,
No.
it fills in a lot of the gaps that you might have. It's still like this weird Japanese new wave expressionist art film that
Yeah.
will never fully be explained, but it helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch the entire thing? It was like half an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. You do so much research for this podcast, John. I really admire that.
Hey, what else have I got to do? It's a pandemic.
And then honestly, after this movie, the pacing of it is rough skis.
Well, because there's no music too.
There's no music.
There's some like some.
There's like the
Nuance,
weird tango music.
There's tango
Yeah,
music and
tango,
there's
like
like
the weird waltz
chimes and
music.
There's a very, very
Bells.
minimal soundscape. to
there's
this-
like
to this
music
movie.
that's borrowed from like Japanese theater styles, where it's like little like clicks and dings and stuff.
yeah.
That would have been used in their like not kabuki, I think, but like other styles of theater.
That's like
So
no
again,
theater or something.
Yeah.
Maybe no, like it's been borrowed from that style, which again like doesn't lend super well to this. It's honestly I don't love it in the first place. You know what I mean? But it's just like the actual transformation to him getting his new face is like it's like the halfway point. Like it's an hour into
it's an
this
hour.
again 2-hour movie, whereas I think the face swap in Face Off happens after maybe a half hour, like which is a more like satisfying place for it to happen. Whereas like you're just kind of waiting and waiting as he's just like moping around his apartment, being crazy with his wife and talking to the doctor about cutting up her face and like just being
They're having
weird.
discussions, right? They're having discussions about the philosophical nature of what is going on, how he feels as someone who has had his identity erased and who is approaching a new identity and what that means. It's all these. It's an art film where most of it is going to be talking about philosophy, and he's heavily influenced by like Camus and by the
Right.
20th century philosophers who
The existentialists. and
yeah,
stuff.
the existentialist. So that is the movie. If you're going to this movie wanting Face Off, you're going to be really sad.
Oh yeah, no, don't
Because
want
Face
Face
Off,
Off.
it is not.
No. Yeah, you have to be in the mood for like a philosophical existential essay.
Like a heavy-handed philosophical essay, because there was nothing subtle or like nuanced about the monologues that he was having for the first like hour.
No.
It was just a lot of him being like, I'm a monster. My life is terrible. My life has been stripped away. I'm going to kill my... just nothing, just so on the nose,
Yeah.
which, has its place, I guess.
I mean, if your face were melted, you might be a bit more like blunt with
Well-
your thinking as well.
Sure, yeah.
You might have some big feelings.
Yeah.
You might walk into work and be like, hey, I'm not going to come in anymore because my face is gone. So if I could just work remotely, that would be best. Okay,
Yeah, I love
thank
his
you.
boss being like, nothing's changed. Why? What are you talking about? Just come back to work. It's all fine. And he's like, I don't have a face.
He's like, I don't have a
His
face.
boss is like, have you seen Face Off? It's like a secret.
Great film.
I thought it was a really cool line when he was just like, he's like, I'm going to be I'll be working exclusively now through phone and letters and stuff like that. The only time you'll see me is in
Through
my
my signature.
signature.
Signature. Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, man, that's so schlocky poetic, but like,
I thought it was a cool line. That was like
Cool
a
line.
badass. That was like as close to an action film piece of dialogue that you're ever going to get in this movie.
but he like grumbled it and then he sulked away, and you were like, ah.
Yeah. He's very depressed.
I have a new
But he's
face
also
already.
but he's also like so it's clearly meant to say that like he's got this darkness. He's always had this darkness. Is he supposed to be the everyman to say that like we've all got this darkness and these like psychopathic tendencies somewhere in us, and all we need is kind of like the right excuse to use them. We need the right identity to be able to talk about carving your wife up or like following her home and trying to seduce her.
Yeah, there's
or the whole
yeah.
the whole
Go ahead,
psychiatrist like theory about, and like his like nightmare thing that gets realized at the end when he starts seeing everybody having these masks or whatever, and he's like imagining this world where like everyone will have a mask, and then therefore everyone will have no identity, and everyone's experience will just sort of like melt into each other, and there'll be no more betrayal, but also it'll be like total freedom, but also total like kind of oblivion.
Yeah.
But he's
I had a hard
he's
time following that.
But that'll never happen.
Yeah, morality itself will disappear. I think.
Will fall away. Yeah.
Yeah. The conversations with the doctor, and they're sitting in the bar, which is it weirded me out because it was like
Munchen.
the German bar
Called
and-
Munchen.
Yeah, called Munchen, with like the eagle on the mugs of the Reich.
Yeah.
Those creep me out. Being in post-war Japan.
How about the Nuremberg rally speeches over top of the mental asylum, the veteran mental asylum?
I didn't catch that. That's
Oh
great.
yeah. Well, yeah. I think there's two parts where she goes to the veterans like mental hospital, and over top of what's happening there, it's just Hitler's speeches going on in the background.
Amazing.
There's such a like big shadow cast of like post-war Japan, like
Yeah.
the whole B story of the Nagasaki bombing, and then the whole like sort of like aftermath and her like worrying if there's going to be another war.
Yeah.
That's like a big part of it that I kind of like don't quite.
Well, I started
there.
like halfway through. I realized I was like, okay, so this is symbolism. Everything in this film kind of has to be interpreted through some kind of lens. And the only one I could grasp was like, it's the 60s. Japan is still struggling from what was forced upon them through the peace treaty after the Second World War. So is he supposed to be like, he has the destroyed face of post-war Japan, and they're putting on this new they're putting on the new face of American culture and American capitalism, and the girl with the scarred face is supposed to be Japan because everyone's like, oh my god, you're beautiful, you're stunning, you're gorgeous, and then she turns, and so she is the scarred
And
Japan.
she's scarred from the
But she's the
atomic bomb.
she's
Yeah.
the true Japan.
She's
as it were.
the true Japan, but that has to. She's the old Japan that has to wait. It has to commit seppuku so that the rising sun can come again and
Yeah.
Japan will have its day.
Oh,
That's
dude.
yeah.
You're blowing
that's
you're
my
blowing my
interpretation.
mind.
There
That
you
was
go.
I think that's
pretty fucking profound, man.
I think that's the correct interpretation. I don't like to say.
Well, I don't know. He didn't mention anything about that in the the video essay. So
Yeah, I was gonna
wasn't
say,
sure.
how much of that came from that video essay that
None,
you just
yeah.
watched?
No, I
Wow.
think that, dude. I
Wow.
think you're spot on to a bunch of stuff.
It doesn't work for a lot of it, that analogy, but
Right, but
It's there.
no, I think it works
but
for
it-
a lot
it-
of it. The
yeah,
war
it
is
does
so
kind of
involved
work.
in this. Yeah.
Because my whole thing when I was watching this movie, I was like, I have a hard time getting behind this film at all. It's a bit of a non-starter for me because of the fundamental issue of this surgery being a bad thing that needs to be kept a secret. Like, in today's society, facial reconstruction is a godsend. Anybody would opt for it. It wouldn't cause you, it wouldn't throw you into a downward psychological spiral. You know what I mean? Like, anything that they are implying that this surgery would cause doesn't make any sense. So the whole time I was like, well, I can't really get behind what this story is trying to do, because from a human standpoint, I don't think that's how it would go. But with the analogy, with the fucking truth bomb you just dropped on us, I think that makes a lot more sense.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's debatable. Like, there are people who do a lot of where like they get addicted to facial reconstruction, and it is connected with a sort of, it seems to be connected with a sort of like psychosis, right?
Sure, but that's like body modification as opposed to a reconstruction that is born of necessity because you don't have a face because you've been scarred or you need some kind of surgery, right?
Yeah.
They definitely do really want to force their philosophy onto that premise. And the doctor, I have as played by Japanese Mads Mikkelsen.
Okay, yeah.
He looks a lot like him.
Yeah.
So very, very handsome in my opinion. His conversations are interesting. I think they're interesting to watch now. Like, I would say this is a movie I would recommend people to watch if they felt like something a bit more out there.
Yeah.
Because how it speaks to current issues of like internet avatars.
Yeah.
I think is super interesting because he talks about like, he's like, when people wear the mask, they can get rid of who they are, and morality will cease to exist, and loneliness and friendship will merge as one, and like all these things that are like, what are you even talking about? But like, it sounds like people describing the internet, and like eventually the mask, he takes over. He's like, are you drunk right now, or is the mask what it's making you drunk? Like, it's this whole thing, and I think we see that nowadays with the internet, and people are barely even using avatars anymore. They're just being themselves.
Yeah.
Like, again, like their avatars, as it were, like their internet persona becomes who they are in person now. We're that far along in the internet. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the what you're putting into your Facebook profile is also interpreted and then sent back in order to manipulate you into being a certain way that will help Facebook continue to make money.
Yeah. But it's like people get to be someone else on the internet, whether that's really who they are or just a part of themselves that they want to express. And then you get certain individuals who find kind of niche opinions, and they find these groups that they connect with and they feel welcomed in, or whatever is going on. And then slowly that place and that person becomes who they are. And you get the people being made to be extreme or believing conspiracy theories and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's super interesting as to how that those conversations, just about the idea of having a new face and what that can do to a person in the modern context. It's just, I find it very fascinating because it sounded like right on the nose.
Yeah, there was like, this movie accomplishes a lot philosophically without doing a ton. Like, there's 3 sets. There's like the bar, the house. I guess, okay, so there's the apartments. So there's the apartment, the bar, the house, and then like the lab. And
the void.
The void. And it uses each one to explore different aspects of it, but it doesn't really have to do a lot to make you ponder these questions.
Yeah.
What happened behind or in the doorway of the doctor's office at the very end?
Yeah, thank you.
It looked like there was like a black
hair?
Like a silhouette of a hair,
Oh, yeah.
a head of hair, or like a squid or something weird for like a split second. Like that that office deteriorated into all kinds of bizarre by the end of this film. Like,
and then the flying bed.
What's that?
The flying bed shot.
With like the guy sitting on the bed, like in the air.
Yeah.
I didn't catch
there's
that.
a woman on a bed, and it's shot as like a bed, kind of like we would use a green screen now in the back, and it's the bed is flying through the air through like the building scape of Tokyo, I guess, or New York or something.
This was in the doctor's office?
No, it's like a disjointed cut away from that scene, I think.
Oh,
man.
I was talking about the final scene in the doctor's office where he gets the phone call that dude's in jail, and you hear like that Japanese instrument being played, and then if you like look way in the back, there's just some dude with the instrument in his hand, just like tapping it occasionally, and then his wife, who we haven't seen, she's only been referenced, just like walks to the back of the screen, the back of the shot, and is like, dinner's ready. It was, and then the door opens, and there's this weird, I guess it's hair or something, or like I thought it was like an ink blot or a squid. I don't know.
It was like hair in the ocean waves. Yeah.
It was definitely weird.
Someone explain that to me. What's the imagery there, Sean?
Yeah, what's the meaning behind that?
Expressionism does not need explanation sometimes. Wow.
Could you also explain why we went from the adultery / not adultery scene to how it fits into your theory of then the B plot woman having sex with her brother and asking her to kiss him, and then he kisses her.
Yeah, so my mind was. So this is one of the places where I was like, my analogy is weird, because I saw her brother as like the Japanese people, and what has to happen for Japan to like be reborn is for the people to love it again, to like
incestually,
to really like go to town on its sister,
like find an incestual sexual passion for itself.
Both movies have weird incestual scenes.
Yeah, they do.
Shit gets crazy when you mix up faces.
But when it got to the brother kissing the daughter's scars and stuff like that, I was like, and then like her walking into the water and then him becoming meat, I was like, how did this movie suddenly be more weird than Face Off? How did this movie win the weirdness competition? But culminating in a final sequence that I thought was actually really dope. I have no idea what it meant. But
when he stabs him in the street,
when he kills the doctor.
Before that, when they've come out of the police station and the doctor is the one seeing the people as having like no faces.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what this means, but it's like we're supposed to read a lot more into the doctor, but like he's really like pushing for something, and then he ends up where I don't know. I don't even know.
It's sort of like his weird prophecy has sort of happened, at least in his vision.
But he says something about how what he's seeing is supposed to represent the masks that people already are wearing in society. Like, I thought it was just a comment on the fact, like, similar to how his wife talks about how she put on more makeup so that they'd both be wearing masks. I thought that final sequence was more of a kind of commentary to, or a nod to, the fact that we all have our own version of a mask that we put on just to kind of go out and face the world.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's got their mask on as they're walking. I buy that. I buy that. I also so he gets arrested because he realizes he is dangerous in this face. So he goes out. He wants to kill his wife, but she's locked all the doors.
Right. Oh my God.
So he goes and assaults a random woman on the street so that he will be locked up. And then when the doctor arrives, he doesn't want to go with the doctor because he knows the doctor is only there for like his own personal like research, and everything else is extraneous to that. It doesn't really matter so long
he's made him a guinea pig.
Right. Okay. And that's why he stabs him to death at the end.
Yeah,
he's made him more of a monster.
Yeah, very Frankenstein. Yeah,
because the guy wraps up a knife to take with him to kill his wife, can't, and then he gets arrested. And then the doctor comes and they make a point of saying that he signs for his possessions when he was arrested, which included a knife. Sorry, that's our timer.
Hey.
Oh.
Boo.
Yeah, including a knife that he wrapped up in a towel, and they give that back to him, and so that he has the knife to stab him at the end. It's all
now.
Very
Don't go
silly.
doing anything dangerous with this knife.
Yeah, exactly. He's not dangerous. So that's our timer. That just means that we've chatted enough, and we definitely have. So we're just going to jump into, if you have anything else that you want to air, we're just jumping into our lightning round now of likes and gripes.
Likes and gripes.
So if there's anything else you want to just kind of get out real quickly, this is your chance. So I'll start us off with still talking about Face of Another. So again, I already said that. I'll say a gripe is just mental illness in this movie is weird. That's what I'm going to say. How they do it. The post-war German influence. I thought there was a clever cut of like they were like applying the mask and it's clearly fake, and then they put a cream all over it, and then they did a cut to like a profile shot, which was then just someone like just the actor's face with cream on it, and it was like a nice cut, and like how they did that, how they cover it with the cream so that it would be harder to see.
They did that really well.
The
And the
special
black and
effects
white helps
I thought
too.
were
Yeah.
dope.
I just like I noticed it, but I noticed it because they did it well. Because I was kind of, I guess I was looking for it. I was waiting for it. I liked that the surgeon had things that looked like big butt plugs on his shelves as well in his weird void thing, just like big, like giant ones. I thought that was funny. I actually really liked the shot of when he's trying to seduce his own wife, and it's just like their legs and hands
Their
under
legs.
the
Yeah,
table.
I love that shot so much. It was
And
dope.
they're talking and stuff. I thought that was actually a really cool shot that you don't see anywhere else. I thought it was great, even if it was weird and added into some of the rapey vibes that this movie had. It's not even a like or grape. I had a what as a note next to that hair shot, Dan. And then I thought it was really cool the him like with that mask half on when he's in his final scene with his wife and stuff.
That was awesome.
Oh man, it like turned my stomach and made me like I couldn't look away. Like I thought it was really cool. So those
It
are my likes
reminded
and
me a
grapes.
lot of Halloween, like the Michael
Yeah.
Myers mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why she was like, I'm like moments away from screaming.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm doing all I can not to scream right now. And you were like, yeah, you're
No shit.
terrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my face of another stuff. And I think that's all I didn't get to, I think.
I didn't have a chance to write notes for this movie because I was too busy trying to follow the subtitles. So
Seriously, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything for this movie. Anything I wanted to talk about, I've talked about.
I've got a couple, but I agree. Like I was angry at this film because I didn't want to look away from the imagery to read the subtitles.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, likes the X-ray skull opening thing, top notch. And my other like is this tension. There's a very Hitchcockian like tension to this entire film, suspense of something that you're not sure what is going to happen. Dislikes shots of flesh fabrication, not my thing apparently, and wife stalking. That's it.
Great.
Andrew, what do you got, buddy? You have any
Wait,
likes or gripes?
wife stalking is in your gripes?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, okay. I mean, yeah.
Wait,
You say so,
are we
buddy.
doing wife stalking now? Should I put that into likes? Is that what we're doing?
Oh yeah, that's cool now.
Now.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah.
I know we don't socialize the same way since the pandemic, but that's you should know. That's cool now.
It's your wife. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, all the stuff that Jack mentioned, a lot of those shots, I think were all super awesome. I kind of agree with you, Daniel, though, about it being a bit of a mixed bag in terms of like there were moments of it that felt super dated and like clunky, and then there were moments of just like awesome beauty and just like cool, innovative, special. Like it was a bit uneven technically that way. But yeah, all this, I think that the special effects of like how they did all the face stuff was really impressive for the time. And I don't know, I was kind of like, my brain was kind of dead when I was watching it, so I kind of want to like, it was one of those ones where I want to read about it and then watch it again. But I probably won't do that for a while. Yeah. Nah, that's it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I love the doctor's office. I thought was dope. The void, surrealist kind of doctor's office, and like the shots that are like confusing of like, what is this, like a door that's like has a bunch of like hair coming out of it or whatever that was.
Yeah.
It just kind of set up that space. I think the director was really influenced by like Salvador Dali and like surrealism. So I think it was I don't know, it was cool how it sort of set up that like office of like transformation as kind of this like surreal kind of like dream transformational sort of space or whatever. But
Yeah, it didn't
I
look
thought
like
it
a
was cool.
doctor's office at all.
But was that space slowly becoming more and more trippy as the movie went on? Because for me, as I was watching, it kind of felt like we didn't start getting the kind of surreal imagery until into the last like 20 minutes, where it all kind of started to really break down. But I mean,
besides the fact that it's like besides the fact that it's like totally black and like there's these weird panes of glass that you're looking things through, and like just the stark white of the nurses and his doctor coat and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think
but yeah,
you
no,
could say
it definitely
it's
definitely gets
weird
weirder
from
as
the
it goes.
get-go.
Yeah,
It doesn't like start normal, but it definitely does like ramp up.
right.
What about Face Off, Andrew? You got any other likes or gripes kind of things you would throw around for that movie? Things you really loved, things you really didn't like.
it's weird to say anything that I dislike about Face Off because I also love all of those things about Face Off. Like all of the like whenever I, and like I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of Nicolas Cage's acting choices or Travolta being like weird or all the corniness and the plot points that don't make any sense. Like those are all easy to point at, but I also like they're delightful and like they actually make me just kind of love the movie and love that it exists. And there's no, you say, there's nothing like it. It's very memorable. I could talk about. I could start a podcast and do several episodes.
All right, rival podcast.
Everything in
every scene
in Face Off.
Face Off the podcast. That sounds great.
Face Off versus
you could do the
everyone.
remake too.
Yeah. Apparently they're doing a remake.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie does not need to be remade.
I hope they do.
No, and it's all going to be CG shitty. Like they're going to get the actors' bodies, and then they'll CG the face on, and it's going to look.
It's just going to be deep faked. It's just going to be all deep fake tech. It's going to be brutal.
Ugh, we should go see it in theaters.
100%. Theaters won't exist by the time it's out.
Yeah, true. Eh? Yeah.
But I hear you, Andrew. I have some notes which I'll kind of go through as well, and I have some of them. I have what I call like likey grapes, where it's like. It's a
sounds like
gripe.
a type of fruit.
Likey grapes.
Likey grapes.
Like a little snack.
Where it's like I love hate it. You know what I mean? So one of them I have is that there's a showdown that happens in like it's adjacent to Castor Troy's apartment or like someone's apartment, but there's just like a room of mirrors that's just thrown in so they can have some shots of them pointing guns at mirrors.
At the mirror image of each other. It's like whoa.
And it's like, that's fucking ridiculous. And no one understands why this exists. But also I love it. Like
that's great.
It's
a
great.
It's
grape,
terrific.
Again, these are all kind of likey grapes. The fact that when they go and shoot up Castor's friend's apartment or whatever this is.
The bald guy.
Yeah, the FBI just like shoots up the whole place. The old FBI plan of shoot everyone and shoot everything, including the kids.
The LAPD.
Let's all bust
that's
through
also,
windows.
It looks like
one
it's
at a time.
kind of under Castor Troy's command as Archer.
He got all the bad guy FBI agents.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right, and then he has to deal with his boss after for that little fuck up, doesn't he? When he fakes his heart attack.
Makes him have a heart attack,
Yeah.
He's also kind of is having a heart attack, but then he like
he exacerbates it.
Yeah.
By just like karate
his voice
chopping
is getting
his
all
chest.
weird, and he's like, and then he like beats the shit out of him, and he's like, he's having a heart attack. Call the ambulance.
He chops him in the back of the neck and then punches him in the heart. Sure. But also like the same way, like I like that when Castor assumes Archer's identity, that he stops the bomb to become a hero. I think that's kind of like an interesting kind of twist. But I don't like the reasoning behind it when he's like, he's like, what about the brother's like, what about the $10 million you're going to get from the militia? And he's like, nah, screw them. Think about the money we'll get when I'm a national hero. And I'm like, not $10 million, dude. That's there's no award.
That's not how like the FBI payment plans work. They're like, yo, you saved 10 million people. $10 million.
So thank you.
I just thought that was fucking stupid. So I liked the twist and I hated the reasoning. For me, it was too much when John Woo was John Wooing too much. When I thought it was hilarious with all the birds near the ending. That's his thing. But they were like at a church and it was beachside, just so Nick Cage could walk like from the ocean up the beach. Like, what the fuck are you doing on the beach, dude? And then it's like there's like a church on the beach and has open walls. I was like, does this exist?
Also, this pretty stuffy seeming FBI chief who dies has the most extravagant Catholic funeral with procession and incense and doves.
In what looks more like more of a Mexican or like Spanish style Catholic church, rather than your like clearly he was Irish and would be put to rest at like McConaughey's Irish and Catholic Emporium or something like that.
Yeah, some stuff
in dry place. Much more drab.
Yeah, where it looked like a scene from Once Upon a Time in Mexico. That was like, we'll just do that scene. Like Antonio Banderas is going to show up. I have a couple more. Again, there's so much to talk about in this movie. Again, Likey Grape, the whole like standoff sequence is ridiculous, and I hated and loved it. And they have these sweeping pans with sound effects just to like amp up, and then they started shooting each other, and you don't know what's happening
like
at
more
all.
people come in, more people come in, and it's like, oh, like, and then they start shooting, and only the one guy gets shot out of that whole thing.
I wanted it just to keep going. I wanted like a butler to walk in and be like, I believe you're forgetting me, sir. And then like a kid walks in, he's like, Mommy, I got you. Like I just wanted it to keep going. It's like,
like a puppy walks in with a revolver in his teeth. Yeah.
It's like, Mrs. Luthwaite, my third grade teacher. That's right, sweetie. I got you. Like I just wanted it to get more crazy. So that part was like a Likey Grape. A big like they drove a boat through a boat. Fucking hell yeah. That's super cool.
And they blew that boat up.
And then the clearly not Nick Cage stuntman went flying, and it was awesome. I thought, you know what? Nick Cage's yelling of die when he kills him. Yo, that's how you yell die at somebody. It's dope. It's a great die, you know?
I like how, like, Nick Cage's acting for me, it goes, like, it's not even a so bad it's good thing. It's like he, like, goes so far that it's like bad, but then it's so bad it's like interesting.
Yeah.
And like sometimes he just hits it. Sometimes it just hits the right.
Even when he's so over the top, I'm like, this is working for me. I'm into it.
Yeah, it's why he's a movie star.
It's great.
It's why he's got 4 divorces and like a castle. I think he owns a castle.
Shit. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm sorry. I had a bunch of likes and grapes for that one, but someone else please take it away.
Oh, I'll go.
Please.
Sure. Likes. The opening. I actually like the opening, as I mentioned before. The scene where he meets his wife again as Nick Cage. The first half of that is really good, and then it gets bizarre up until he gives the first date speech, which is again a like. That whole first date speech was spot on, and kind of why Nick Cage keeps getting films. Because he can act every now and then. And then my final like is Jamie falling down the stairs. And my dislikes. Saddle up, partners.
They're called gripes, Sean.
Oh, yeah. Gripes. Sorry. Likes and gripes, because it rhymes. John,
You're not
John
Sean.
Travolta
You're wearing his face.
John Travolta next to children. For that matter... Nick Cage next to children. The whole shooting of the airplane hangar scene, his gold guns, a turbine in the hangar. Already said that.
Again, these are gripes?
Yes.
Yeah, some of these I'm confused by. The gold guns are dope.
Sean doesn't like fun, Andrew. You'll learn that if you listen to more podcasts.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck, you're fucking off.
See, there he goes.
The line looks like Elvis done left the building. Even a sneeze could dislodge it. The line, if you excuse me, I have to use the little boy's wee-wee room.
Loved it.
Yes!
I thought it was great character work.
Finally.
It's like Nick Cage just needs to weird up one of the lines. Like, I'm sure the script was Little Boy's Room.
Why?
He's like, I'm playing a crazy person. I need to use the little boy wee-wee room.
Little boy's wee-wee room.
And all of his criminal friends were like, that's Castor Troy.
Yeah. No more drugs for him. And finally, face touching. Daniel.
That was a good segue too. That was perfect.
Yeah. Daniel's like face touching.
Yeah. Okay. Like Cage's mustache in the opening scene. Gripe for the first like 15 minutes. The levels in this movie were fucking awful. They kind of leveled out, but the first like 15-20 minutes, I had to ride my remote so hard I couldn't hear what people were saying, and the music and explosions were like blowing my ears apart.
Yeah.
I like John Travolta's just like quick reminder to himself of his call to action. He has a line of he kind of turns away and is like, okay, what are you asking me to do?
It's where he summarizes the whole scene. Yeah.
Risk my neck, put in the dark all the people I love. I'll do it. I'm like, perfect. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. Gripe. Nobody wants to know how Sean Archer knew how to defuse that bomb. Gripe. When Castor Troy first wakes up and he's like freaking out when people first come in the hospital room, they have like short glimpse shots of him with no face, which I thought was a really effective way to do that, because they clearly didn't want to do like full makeup and show it because it was going to look bad. So they had like quick cuts to show that he was missing a face, and it made him look that much more sinister. I thought that was really cool.
The reflected shot also in the guy's glasses was really cool.
That was all, yeah, super
really cool. Sean.
Yeah, Sean.
It was.
Why do you hate fun? Nick Cage's entire drug trip sequence when he's playing Sean Archer in his clubhouse, I thought that was great. I liked John Travolta as cool dad with with Archer's daughter. That was a cool thing.
Papa's got a brand new bag.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And it gets
Meanwhile, Papa's got a brand new bag is playing
Yeah.
underneath that whole scene.
Oh,
That's what
it's
that girl
very
would listen
nuanced
to.
that moment.
Yeah.
That's what his teenage daughter in the 90s likes listening to.
Yeah.
Speaking
loves
of
Jen
nuance in
Brown.
a movie, I have Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Fuck you, John Woo.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
There was the most like
It's like
heavy-handed
just
moment.
listen to your music, son.
Yeah.
And he puts
Yeah,
on
kids
some
love that.
shitty headphones playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and that's like blocking out all the gun noises.
Yeah, like the loudest headphones in the world. I thought it was silly that they would put them both in the same paramedics at the end of the movie. One is like one is like a super criminal and one is a cop. Cage's Archer is creepy. I loved the final showdown in the church, but then
the church was cool.
But then I have it followed by the ending that never ends.
Oh, sweet God.
Yeah, like that movie should have ended 14 times before the boat race, and it did not. But I loved the boat race. That being said, speedboat duel. The shot of them flying out of the boat onto land was dope. And I have the ambulance note again. That's it.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Woo. Well.
On Woo. So
woo. Let's
I
rate
haven't
this.
made any notes. I haven't made any notes about this. I haven't really thought about it. It's gonna be weird. These are some of the weirdest movies I think I've ever seen. I've seen Face Off before. Happy to see it again. And again, as like seen as a kid, it's fun. Like I enjoyed it as a kid because it's like a cartoon. As an adult, it's fun in different ways, but it is totally bonkers. So this is going to be weird. So essentially, we're going to jump into our rating system now. We have 5 categories. We have looks good, like sounds good, like act good, story good, and like rewatchability. Like if I had to, like which one would I watch again, or like which one did I really truly enjoy more?
Like if I was in the middle seat of a plane and my TV was out, and on one side of me someone was watching The Face of Another, and the other side someone was watching Face Off, whose earbuds would I share?
Right.
Or like if you've been taken captive and someone's about to kill you by skinning your face off your body, but they're offering to show you a movie first, which one would you ask to see?
Yeah. Any one of these scenarios will do. And
Well, they're both going to put you in the mood.
Yeah. And whichever one comes out with the majority of those categories is declared the Citizen Kane of the week. There's a
So sorry,
possibility
these
for
are
ties.
individual categories that you listed, like all
Yeah.
these things?
Yeah.
And we rate them from 1 to 10, or
No, just
just
which
vote.
one was better in each
we
category.
just pick one.
Straight
then.
vote. We should really explain to our guests what happens.
Oh, you said he listened to one. I assumed it, But
I don't know if I got to the end.
it's okay. They're long
That's fair.
podcasts.
No one else does
one
either.
does.
It's fine.
They will eventually, and then they'll be sorry. So in terms
true.
of looks, let's talk looks though. I will say there's a lot about Face of Another that is like, as you say, it seems almost amateurish. I am grateful for the level of effort put into Face Off. I truly am. There's a lot of practical stuff, impressive stuff, practically done stuff that I'm a fan of, as we know. But I think when it comes down to it, not that this is a solid vote yet, there are things in Face of Another that I just like will never forget. There are shots
Oh yeah.
that are like burned into my brain now. Is how I'll start. this
Agreed. I think Face Off is very dazzling, and it will keep your eyes on the screen for 2 hours because you can't look away. But that's more of a like you can't look away at gunpoint, whereas Face of Another is like you can't look away because it's so engrossing. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like Face Off looks like kind of has that sort of generic 90s movie
Yeah.
look to it, which I love, and I love that whole aesthetic, but it's definitely not like unique looking per se. But whereas Face of Another is like kind of a thing unto itself. So I would vote Face of Another.
Dan?
I mean, I agree with what you guys are saying, but I mean, you know me, I like flashy visuals and loud noises, so I would probably go with Face Off, but it sounds like I've lost anyways. So
Do you put loud noises into your looks category?
what's that?
Do you put loud noises into your looks
Well, you
category?
know, I like explosions and gunfights and
Yeah.
just like fun things to look at. And like agreed, like Face of Another, there are some things there are like a handful of moments in the Face of Another that really floored me, but they're peppered amongst a film that doesn't visually stun really for the most part.
That's
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, I think there's a lot of this movie that is like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like we're sitting in a bar and like I found myself drifting and like looking at people in the background as they chatted and like.
Well, and that's the thing. And this movie isn't. It's kind of like the thing I had about Grapes of Wrath last week. It's not a movie that's about the cinematography. There is some imagery that
What are you talking about? This whole film is based on the visuals.
It's like
not the entire film. No, a lot of it is. A lot of it is about the philosophical
It's about
dialogue.
double. Yeah, but it's about doubles. It's about seeing the exact same shot as he. I'm sorry. I don't. I shouldn't get into this. The points are.
But even still, if you're talking about seeing the exact same shot played twice,
yeah,
with him as Monster Man
with
and
variations, yeah,
right. But that's not cinematography. That's
no, but that's how it looks still.
Sure, but there's nothing. There's nothing. Particularly intriguing about those shots beyond the content of the shot.
The apartment.
That's a bad way to explain it.
I'll fight with you after that. I'll fight with you about this after.
You should fight with me now, but I
you
think
can
either
fight
way.
with him now.
No, the point's made. The point's done.
I hear what you're saying. But I just found that I had more fun watching Face Off.
I think that's the real crux of it. Like at least for me, like there are things in it like Face of Another is doing things in terms of visual storytelling and like not even storytelling, like visual metaphor and again visual philosophy, which is a bit different than what we're used to seeing, I think, in a lot of like Western movies for sure. And it's just that it's completely devoid of any fun. So you have to be willing to absorb it like you would some sort of like you're reading
like an essay
or
something.
Yeah.
Like when I finished this movie, I felt like I had woken up after taking too long of a nap. Like I was exhausted.
I would love Face of Another as like an hour long or 50-minute long like movie short, because I think it could be encapsulated in that time. Like it just took way too much time to be like, look how grumpy he is with no face.
Sure,
and like an hour later, I was like, please get a new face. So
right. Anyway, so the point goes to Face of Another.
I think it does. I kind of have to. I think
that's fair. That's fair.
Sound. This one's a fucking toss-up if there ever was one. Essentially, no sound in Face of Another to craziness.
Well, no sound in Face of Another, on top of the fact that it seemed like a lot of the dialogue, even though it was in Japanese, was also dubbed, like it was ADR'd, or it wasn't quite in sync with the actors. So I found that to be distracting.
Maybe.
Again, I didn't notice much because, of course, the thing with subtitles is I wasn't looking at their mouths too
away,
much.
exactly.
Yeah.
But and again, like I've talked about this a couple of times where I really respect and appreciate the use of silence as a sound choice, but not when it's the entire movie. I found so often in this film I needed something else to kind of help move it along, because otherwise it just felt. There were times where I felt like I was being pulled through molasses.
Okay, but let's contrast that with Face Off, where you are never allowed to have a feeling that is genuinely your own, because the soundtrack is hitting you over the face with your emotion every single time.
That's a fair point. Fair point.
Whereas my point's going to Face of Another because it allows you to put your... yeah, because it's better. It is a better use of sound. It allows you to explore what is happening on your own. It gives you just enough of the drum or the chimes or the bell sounds that's going on to like make you realize something's happening. Some sound is happening, and it pulls you in deeper to those moments to make you wonder what's going to happen. It's very Hitchcock. The use of sound is very Hitchcock in this. Hitchcock came before him, so yeah, let's say it's very Hitchcock. But also,
would you say it's Hitchcock though? Would you say it's kind of akin to
brilliant,
Hitchcock?
but then there's brilliant use of just the individual actors' sounds, the girl singing in the bar, and even the band playing in the background of the bar, which is a very very still shot. Yes, like it's just those two sitting at the bar, and you get drawn to like your eye gets drawn to what's going on in the background. But the music is going on, and it's driving home the sense of the scene. I have to give it to Face of Another.
Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew, what do you think?
I agree with Sean. Again, it's like Face Off is like, it's hard to criticize. I have a very hard time criticizing Face Off because everything that I hate about Face Off, I love about Face Off, and I wouldn't want it any different. But if we're giving points for like who has better sound, I kind of would agree with everything that Sean said about Face of Another. Just the band playing, and then how that motif that the band was playing comes back later, and the eeriness of the like sound effects and basically, as you said, like it leaves you to kind of, you have to bring a lot of sort of yourself to it, as opposed to Face Off, which is kind of a complete package already that you just get to enjoy. But I think as far as like an actual sound design, Face of Another is just more interesting. So yeah, Face of Another.
And so Dan, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm on the fence because I agree with what you guys are saying about Face Off's soundtrack and leaving nothing to the imagination and kind of being a 2-hour onslaught. But I had issues with the soundtrack or the score or the soundscape rather, because it wasn't really much of a score. The soundscape in the Face of Another. So I don't know. I mean, you guys make persuasive arguments. Jack, what do you think? I'm torn.
I'm torn as well. Like, for the first time ever, I feel like we should like move forward and come back to this one.
Okay. All right.
Because I can't say it, because I had the same thing where it's like, I hear what you're saying, Sean, and like, yes, I wouldn't quite put it on such a high place as I feel that you did, of like it drew and it emphasized, and I'm like, it went like sometimes like it just.
No, but those like chimes, man. Like whenever something sinister was happening.
Yeah, I know, but it just, but I also kind of hated it. Like it was, anyway, I wouldn't quite, it was just like a bit of something.
I don't think we need to prolong the podcast any longer. So I think if you got your choices, you should make your choices now.
Not yet. Well, let's jump forward and say acting.
I'm going to make things interesting actually and say that my vote goes to what was it called? Face Off.
Face Off.
To Face Off?
To Face Off.
What, just to push me to vote right now?
No, not necessarily, but I think that my gut is telling me one thing, and I'm trying to find it in me to switch camps for the points that Sean and Andrew made. But I think that my initial impulse was Face Off, despite the level issues at the beginning.
Despite the level issues, I think I'm in the same boat. I'm going to give it to Face Off too.
Okay,
so I think let's leave it as a tie right there. It's a tie for now.
Yeah, so still 1 point. Face of Another,
and then we have acting. And acting is like, you have this.
What are you talking about? Face Off for sure is better. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
Nicolas Cage's work in that movie is on another planet.
We're getting
literally on another planet. Yeah,
we're certainly getting more. Like I will remember some of those visuals from Face of Another. I will forget their performances, and I will have a hard time forgetting the same. I think the reasons that I did even as a kid, like I remember so much of Face Off because of what Travolta and what Nick Cage did. It's insane. It's at times terrible, but
Yeah.
it is.
But it's
Like-
never not awesome.
It's never not
That's true.
awesome.
Awe-inspiring in the true sense of the word.
Yeah.
It is awesome. I will give Face Off the word awesome.
Okay, so Sean, why are you voting for The Face of Another?
Because I was legitimately entranced by the main character's acting the entire way through.
Okay.
I thought he was fantastic, and no one in Face Off made me go, oh. Everyone in Face Off made me go, oh.
I'm like pleased that you had a terrible time with the movie. I'm also sad though that you.
I'm surprised. I thought
enjoy
that you could appreciate what the
Maybe
movie
I
was
just
trying to
wasn't in
do.
the right headspace this morning or something, but like this
morning.
movie.
Yeah, that movie.
Oh yeah. Face Off. I want to keep calling it Die Hard. Face Off is
Die
not a
Hard.
morning movie.
No, I love Die Hard.
Look, at 7 a.m. when I watched it, maybe I just wasn't in the mood.
It was like 11 o'clock, but
That's still
No,
too
Face Off
early.
works any moment
So-
of any day.
so is that 3 for Face Off and
Completely
1
disagree.
against?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Face Off. I wasn't thrilled with
All
Nick
right.
Cage. He's a basket case, but I thought Travolta was doing some pretty great stuff in this film, so I'm gonna go Travolta. I'm gonna go Travolta Face Off.
So we're it's a dead heat going into story.
Also, Face Off. Face Off
Yeah.
has Face Off. I mean, this.
What?
I think that what.
What do you mean? They have the same story. That's why we picked them.
No, they don't. They don't. I think that there's a lot more thought, and there's a much more kind of like
What? Where are you
there's
going with
there's a lot
this?
more thought to the Face of Another's concept. I think there's that
Okay,
from
yeah.
like an intellectual or an academic standpoint. There's more kind of meat there. There's more to think about. But in terms of like a narrative for a film, Face Off 100%. Face Off
Daniel?
has what?
Okay, Daniel. Okay.
What?
Okay.
You agree with me? I know you agree with me.
I
Yeah,
agree with
suck
you.
it,
I'm
Sean.
giving my point to
What?
Face Off.
Yeah,
I
I
think
knew
it
it.
is.
Sean, where are you going now? What's happening?
I'm giving
How
you my
could you-
honest interpretation of events for these two films, man.
No, okay, sorry. I'm gonna fight this.
Yeah, okay,
I know
fight.
already this podcast is going long. I'm fighting that a little bit.
Fight.
You just
You're
said
fighting
something
that
that's like,
Face Off it has a better story than Face of Another?
well, you said like better like narrative for a film, whatever that means.
Yeah, because there's like a good and a bad kind of base narrative structure for a movie, for a story to be told. There's not much of a story in The Face of Another. It's more of like an ethical quandary. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, but
Yeah.
I'll take an
There's-
ethical quandary over again, Face Off. I love it because it's sugary cereal. It's not. There's no depth to it. That's why it's easy to consume.
But
That doesn't
I
make
would-
it better.
No, but
for
in terms
movies.
of and if you look at the story for what's actually happening, I would argue that there is some depth to it. If you think like the moment where
There's attempted depth for sure.
Yeah,
There's
but it
attempted
holds your
depth,
hand
and-
and spoon feeds you the entire way
Yeah.
through. That's not
Sure.
Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, whereas I think one has the potential to actually look at the story and the script and explore something deeper in it, and the other one is just like bang bang pew pew bang bang pew pew. It's not.
See, I actually didn't find that The Face of Another left much to be explored. I found it much like a Shakespearean play where everything that we were supposed to be thinking about was being said for us by the characters.
Oh, I don't. Okay.
Especially
Hard
the
disagree.
lead.
Yeah, hard disagree. Andrew, where are you on this?
And, yeah,
I'm-
Andrew, give us your thoughts.
If we're just looking at story, it's again, I gotta give it to The Face of Another. I agree with you, Jack. Just because when I think of like, there's story and then there's plot. I think
It's a loose
arguably
topic.
Face Off has like maybe a more compelling plot in a way, but like ultimately what I like about The Face of Another is that it's not so like actually I think it has an amazing plot, like just as a sequence of events I think is pretty phenomenal, but then it does also like lead you to draw sort of your own conclusions, and it makes you kind of ponder it in like this what to me is a better story. That doesn't make any sense, but like kind of parroting what Jack was saying. It's like Face Off is if I was gonna just like relay to you this sequence of events, it would become just completely absurd. And once you strip away the rhythm of the filmmaking and the camp performances and the sound effects and everything and the visuals, it's kind of just a ridiculous pitch once you take all that other stuff away. Whereas I think The Face of Another, I think you could just like sit down and tell someone that story.
You can give an elevator
it would be
pitch
better.
you can give an elevator pitch for Face Off. You need to sit down with someone over a drink and talk to them about what Face of Another would be. And that's what I want my movies to be. So that's why I'm saying Face Off.
I mean, I guess, but
Andrew,
it comes. Go ahead. Sean.
I'm just going to say, and I'm going to preface this with, and I'm sorry, Daniel, but Andrew
That's
made me
fine.
realize, he said it was a series of events, and upon second thinking, the reason I like Face Off more than Face of Another was because I understood the linear progression of the film more so than I did Face of Another.
Sure.
But then that is just knowing a series of events in a row rather than like taking in the whole like story not plot of the film. So I think I got to switch my vote to
That's
Face
fine.
of Another.
You're dead to me, but that's okay. I understand.
Okay.
I'm sticking to my guns on this. I think you're all wrong, but that's fine. I think I'm outvoted.
Well, let's
All
get
right.
complicated with this last one. Because, I mean, it almost would have been better if we tied right there. Because this is... Because we get to like rewatchability, enjoyability. Look,
Also, Face Off.
yeah, there's no fucking denying it. Face Off 1,000,000% for me.
I'd watch Face Off 15,000 more times before I watch The Face of Another again.
Yeah.
I would watch
Yeah.
Face Off every day.
Wow.
Full stop. The Face of Another, I'll maybe watch
a lot,
again.
man.
Probably not.
Yeah, saying like I really want to say that I'm the kind of film taker inner that would watch Face of Another to delve into its deeper meanings even more. But realistically, if I'm going to watch one of these two movies again, it's going to be Face Off. So
I would maybe watch a 20-minute like video talking about
yeah.
Face
Yeah,
Off.
what's the
Tyler,
video
the
essay?
Criterion one.
Yeah.
it is literally a boring old man talking about a film he loves.
Perfect.
But like,
Perfect.
yeah, that's what it is.
But you know
Is
where
it
they
Peter
show,
Wilde?
they show where they show like where
essentially.
they show key moments and key shots and just like talk about them. That sounds like fun. I
Yeah.
don't want to watch
Yeah.
that movie again.
No.
It was never a great time.
So
we
that means
we
that
could
we're in a tie. So then, do we
We could
fight
sort out
the
this
death
sound
over
thing.
sound or what?
So who,
No,
who
I think we can
feels
have co-champions, can't we?
that
Have
I
we
actually
had
kind
a
of
tie?
love. I kind of love that it's tied. It's kind of
It's
amazing.
a draw. It's like soccer.
that's the most stupidly poetic tie that we could possibly imagine on this fucking podcast.
We really should have thought about some kind of tiebreaker.
I know.
Protocol.
Should we add a category to tiebreak?
Runtime.
Huh?
Runtime face-off wins.
They're the same time. They're both.
No,
the
Face
same
Off has a
time.
good, like, 20
Face Off is
minutes.
20
Face Off
minutes
is longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing?
Yes.
Of I don't know.
I like a draw. I think it is. I think we should have a draw. I think there's
All right.
every opportunity for films to be equally classic in how we interpret them.
The draw sounds right to me. I think these movies are actually on par, and like I said, the same. They're basically the same movie.
Not at all.
So
I kind of wish you had paired The Face of Another with The Mask, as
would-
those are very much.
Oh, but
like-
The
That would
Mask
be
is a
the same
hardcore
movie.
classic.
Oh, I know, but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Look, they are really,
Yeah.
they really are like the same movie. But someone saw The Face of Another and was like, "This could be hilarious.
Right.
What if he like shakes maracas when he puts on the mask instead?"
so the Citizen Kane.
The Citizen Kane of the week.
The Citizen
slash
Kane's,
loser of the week.
Z-
Of the
Goes
week
to-
are...
You decide.
Solid.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, great. And
You're welcome back anytime, Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for
Thanks for
joining.
having me.
It's a first, and what a first with these two movies for it to be a tie. I literally can't think of even though they have that similar link of the faces coming off and being put on, they're like maybe the two most polarized, different movies you could possibly watch in the same day as some of us.
It was weird. It was honestly weird watching them back to back. I feel like it's not one of those kind of days where it's like, what is happening?
And if anybody is listening to this podcast at this point or at all, and they want to do those movies back to back, definitely do Face Off second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we all watched Face of Another second, didn't we?
No, I did Face of Another first.
You did. Okay.
You did the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we should just cut the podcast here. I don't think we should.
Sure.
'Cause we're
We got to
already-
announce Dan.
Yeah,
I
I gotta go anyways, but yeah, go ahead.
All right.
So, well, no. Well, there's gonna be a second here. I think that's
Right.
cool. Yeah. Dan, you have movies for next week?
Yeah, I do. So I'm kind of stuck between two options, but I think I've settled it. I was gonna maybe go with something to compare to The Wizard of Oz.
Of course. Good.
But instead, I've decided we're gonna do a little bit of a Marlon Brando tribute week. So we are going to be comparing A Streetcar Named Desire and the mid-90s.
The score.
No,
The score.
no, the mid-90s oh-so classic, The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh. Okay. I haven't seen that one.
Wait, and that's the schlocky one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It has like a 3.9 rating on IMDb, and it is just like a hot mess.
Marlon Brando week. I'm in.
And that's Brando again.
That's Brando. Brando plays the
I don't even-
titular character of
course.
Dr. Moreau.
Fantastic.
Thank you
I've
for
never
not
seen it.
choosing. Thank you for not choosing Apocalypse Now, because I watched that like 2 months ago, and I don't think I can bring myself to watching that movie for another 2 years at least.
I think I watched that movie for the first and only time with you, Sean, and I'll probably never touch it again. I wasn't very impressed with the Apocalypse Now.
I can't wait to pitch it with X-Men
Yeah.
Apocalypse.
Oh, we're gonna do it. Yeah. Oh, that's
That
perfect. That's
that'll
that is
do.
a
I'll
perfect
do it.
pairing, actually.
I'll do it for this podcast.
All right.
Well, great. Thanks so much for listening. Again, really quickly, do the things, rate us, like us, share us,
CitizenKaneVS at gmail.com.
CitizenKaneVS@gmail.com. Send us
Andrew,
your
do you have anything you want to
recommendations.
plug? Do you have any things about town you're part
Plug
of?
your new Face Off 365 podcast.
Yeah.
Andrew will paint
Oh
your
yeah,
houses.
I'm starting a podcast that's totally dedicated to the movie Face Off, and we will be recording it every day. And it's going to be called
Off face.
Face off or fuck off.
Face On.
Oh
Nice.
man.
Oh, great.
Well.
Yeah. No, I have nothing happening. I'm basically not a person. So
Yeah.
All right.
Plague
Sweet.
Great.
Yeah, like, share, all that stuff. Thanks, everyone.
thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And
Bow, ba-dow, bow.
Citizen Kane versus.
As
He
he
just left.
disconnects. Yeah.
He just made Seinfeld sounds and left. Bye.